To kick off, and he's very excited this round of 16. So far, the games have absolutely flown. Plenty of goals in them. I think today's encounter might be just a little bit more cagey. They have just kicked off. I'm John Hogan. I'm joined by Ben Rogers today, as Croatia have an early dab there. Kovacic trying to put the ball into the middle. Again, it's a bit of a clash of styles. Lots of hard work though from this Japanese team who beat Spain last time. Have got to be respected, but I would still fancy Croatia narrowly to go through.
Yeah, Croatia are the sort of team that we've seen. Obviously, they've got the finalists at the last World Cup, and they've only lost 2 of their last 8 knockout games in the World Cup. So they're very much knockout specialists. But you've mentioned Japan there, John, and we've got to give them their credit, haven't we? Spain and Germany have both been, scalps that Hajime Moriyasu's side have taken so far, but they seem to do better when they have less of the ball, when they play on the counter-attack because of the speed they've got. Against Spain and Germany, they see very little of the ball, didn't they? But when they dominated the ball against Costa Rica, they really struggled to break them down, as Japan win a free kick there.
Yeah, they do, and instantly they're at it, aren't they? Just a high work rate, and I've always loved watching Daisen Maeda, one of the 3 Japanese guys at Celtic, who just set the tone for them. They have, when it all works well for Celtic, they blast teams. I think they beat, we watched when they beat Dundee United 7-0 or something this season. Might have been more. Anyway, ball into the box, not a bad one. We talk about the corridor of uncertainty, and all the centre backs there were facing their own goal. Another cross attempted, but that's blocked away at the expense of a corner. Ito's effort goes out, and it's been a lightning start for Japan.
Absolutely brilliant ball in, John, isn't it? Really fizzed across the face of goal, and then Tomiyasu, the Arsenal defender, was just creeping in at the back post, outstretched right leg, couldn't quite get on the end of it, but he kept it in play, and then Japan have forced the corner. It's a lightning start, as you've mentioned there, and Ito, he's got a brilliant right foot, hasn't he, and he'll be delivering this corner. Yeah,
let's see what he can get. Let's deal with the stereotypes first. They're not a small team, Japan. Good ball in, and the header goes just wide. Oh dear, they do have targets to hit. Taniguchi is one of them at 6 foot, but Yoshida's 6'2", and Tomiyasu's 6'2" as well. So they're not a bunch of tiddlers. They can get a good ball in, and they've got plenty who can attack it and get their headers.
It's a short corner routine, isn't it? And then straight away, Taniguchi just wants it more than the Croatia defenders. I'm really disappointed with Croatia's defending there from that set piece, because it was so easy. Oh my word, Livakovic almost put himself into a world of trouble there. The ball come back to him, and really good work rate again from Maeda. He's really setting the tone, but just go back to that corner. It was a short set piece routine, and just really poor defending from Croatia. It was so slow to get out to the short man, wasn't he? And then he's had all the time in the world to whip the ball in, and Taniguchi will be disappointed that he didn't direct his header on target. But again there, Maeda just pressing Livakovic, and Croatia have just started this game just a second too slow, and you can't do that against a team that has the pace that Japan do.
Yeah, they do, but I feel it would be a bit of the torts in the hair today. I think Croatia's experience could well get them over the line, but Japan have made a cracking start, and it's exactly what I expected. Modric though gets round the back, tries to get the cross in, but that's blocked away. And so just buying a little bit of time for Zlatko Dalic's team. Hidemasa Morita was the man who put that ball out. It will be a throw. So Daisen Maeda's Celtic teammate Josip Juranovic now with the throw in off the head of Perisic, but it's gone backwards, and so there's a little bit of work to do. As now we see Guardiola on the ball, and he'll be looking for a long pass forward. Ball might just break here for Kramaric, but he goes down a blind down, and the ball comes backwards. Guardiola back on it with the really heavy face mask on. He must put you off that, really.
You're sitting with Heung-min Son, and of course he's struggled in the World Cup so far, so it is an interesting one whether or not that's playing on Heung-min Son's sort of mind a bit, and perhaps when you've got that slight facial injury, you don't really want to be getting hit in the face, so perhaps that puts you off your game and you're not quite as brave as you want to be. But having said that, how good has Guardiola been in the World Cup so far? He was an absolute man mountain against Belgium last time out, and Croatia have kept 2 clean sheets. I only conceded 1 goal, of course, in the World Cup so far, and Guardiola, of course, playing his football in the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig. I know he's on the radar of a lot of European clubs, and he's a very good player, and his stock's only going up so far in Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely. The man he replaced, incidentally, I always thought was brilliant, Domagoj Vida. I think he ended up playing his football in Turkey, but I always thought somebody should have bought him, really. Always winning the headers, and he only just scraped 6 foot, but anyway. Weirdly, you always think about Croatia as being this massive team as well. They're not super tall, so I think it's going to be a good duel up top. Modric then flicks the ball forward. I've watched him in the tournament and all Croatia's games, and he's still absolutely world class. You know, there are not too many better midfielders. He's definitely up there. I thought Bentancur's played well in the tournament, and obviously England's Jude Bellingham. But I think if I wanted a midfield 3, it'd probably be those 3.
I think that's what's carried Croatia through these group stages, John. I don't think they've set the world alight in any of their games, but when you look towards that midfield, Brozovic, Kovacic, Modric, these are players that have just been playing at the highest level for so many years now, and they've got a wealth of experience. And when you look at Luka Modric, you've got to look no further than one of the best midfielders in the world, and he still is at the age of 37. He's still one of the best players
and he's
on the
fit.
planet.
He absolutely fit as anything as well. He doesn't seem to have lost the yard, and he just keeps on going like a Duracell bunny there, though. He runs into a challenge, and again Japan come away with the ball to Ito on the right hand side, just galloping over the halfway line. Got bodies ahead of him. Doan makes a run for him, but he didn't find him. That ball blocked out by Barisic, the Rangers man. The ball goes back with 7 minutes, and 7 very easy minutes to watch. I feel like it's exciting. At the Al Janoub, the Japanese fans, I think, will be absolutely loving the start. Jimmy Moriyasu, their coach, doesn't he look smart as well in his suit today? If you get extra points for that, he should do. He looks the smartest manager I've seen at the World Cup. But anyway, there's something really smart about Japan. They're in their blue kit today. They've got off to a flying start. They're neat on the ball. There's so much action from them. They've already had the best chances. That Taniguchi header went just wide. I think they'll be pleased with the start, but you don't get anything for that, do you?
No, you don't. But this is something that definitely Moriyasu would have been talking about, because when they look towards the Germany and the Spain game, they're games that they won, but the games that they conceded early goals in, weren't they, John? And they didn't really get off to a lightning start. I'm sure he would have been saying to his team that in knockout games you cannot afford to start slow. We mentioned it with England yesterday, didn't we? The slow start almost cost them in the end. England got away with it, but in knockout games against the bigger opposition, you cannot afford to start these games slow, and Japan have definitely come out with a lot more intent. As I say, that Tomiyasu's just gifted Perisic the opportunity.
And he has a shot, and it's saved by the keeper. It's still not been cleared. Maybe a chance for Kramaric. He's bundling through, but he can't run through them all in the end. A combination of Taniguchi and Yoshida block his path. So Gonda making a save. First big mistake from Japan. Play developing with Perisic putting the pressure on Tomiyasu, who folded it. Just shoving the back, wasn't there? And I think VAR might have ruled it out. But anyway, Gonda couldn't wait for VAR, could he? And made a good save.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've got to look at it again, John, because there was a slight hand in the back of Tomiyasu, but with VAR, I've deemed that to be enough. I mean,
I think so.
It's one of these ones, I think, where 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I think VAR possibly would have ruled it out, but I've seen lesser not given for a foul, so it's a real interesting one there. But Tomiyasu's got away with one nonetheless, because his goalkeeper's bailed him out. And then just how quick were Japan back in numbers, though, because when Kramaric picked that ball up on the rebound, there was 8 Japan bodies around him, and that's the sort of thing that Japan have got to do, really hustle well when Croatia get these opportunities. And we know that these Japan players have all got an engine about them. They're buzzing around the pitch, like the Duracell bunnies, you mentioned them. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of a let off there. I always think, as a defender, you get goal side, don't you? Then you think you've done your job. If I'm goal side, nothing can happen. That tiny little shove in the back, and Perisic's on his way, and he gets a shot in on target. Now, I think they'd have been looking long and hard at VAR. I think eventually would have ruled that out. Long ball forward here, and again, they're looking to spring a trap. Petkovic running through the middle. Bruno Petkovic, 6 goals in 25 games for Croatia. Hardly prolific. I have a feeling that it could be a long haul today. It doesn't look like there's many goals in the Japanese side as well. If Dyson is playing, striker today, well, he's 1 goal in 10 appearances for Japan. He's an attacking player, and he's more one of those pressing players that, they're kind of defending from the front. But he's not prolific. Kamada, 6 goals in 25 games. They've obviously got a bit on the bench, but and it's all about the collective and hard work and all that. But when you look at the Japanese team, it's hard to see where the goals are going to come from. Really.
It is. You don't see an out-and-out goal scorer in that team, but I think that's why Japan have been so impressive, because they've got goals all over the pitch. You've mentioned there a few of the players, but Doan, of course, has scored once against Spain and once against Germany, so he's clearly a player for the big occasion. We look towards the bench. You've got the likes of Matoma from Brighton. He made a real impact when he come on as well. And I just look at, Itzo. I've seen him score plenty of goals, both for club and a couple for country as well. Maeda from Celtic. He's not prolific, but he'll certainly work hard, and sometimes that hard work can get you in a decent situation. You see it there, he closed down Livakovic a few minutes ago and almost had a gift presented to him. So opportunities like that, when they come about, you just got to make sure you take them, and Japan so far in the tournament, they have taken their chances and it's not really been a problem for them.
Yeah, I think for me it reminds me a bit of the United States, all that hard work, but maybe a little bit more quality from Japan up top and a few more goals to spread around, but very similar kind of work rate and all that hard work they're hoping can win the day. Kramaric though wins the ball there, and then Kovacic prods it forward. Typically Modric gets on the end of it, and then again ball breaks out left hand side for Barisic. He hasn't got many options, but picks the ball into the box. Barisic's done a great job there recycling it, and then Modric just going for the half volley to flick it to his right for Kramaric. Can't quite make that stick, but again, that was a decent move. 12 minutes in, it's been such a lively start. I don't really know who's on top necessarily, but I think both teams are rolling out their game plan. I think both will be relatively happy.
I think both teams have looked really good with and without the ball, actually. The shape of Croatia without the ball, I've just been looking at that, and they look to be very set in their shape. Japan have got very little space to work in behind, and I'm sure that's where they feel they have success with the pace in behind. But Croatia sticking to their task well at the moment, and likewise Japan.
Yeah, great ball into the box here for Japan, and oh dearie me, might have sliding at that. Great ball came from the right hand side. I think Ito had linked up with Doan, and it was a lovely ball back out to Ito, gave him time and space. He wasn't marked, and then the ball rolled right across. I think they're very slow to close him down there, Barisic, and Maeda just can't get the touch, can he? And again, even after he slid by, it's Nagatomo then sliding again even further past the net, and yeah, they look so good and so lively on the counter, don't they?
I've mentioned Croatia, they'll be happy with their defensive work, but this time it's absolutely brilliant from Japan, isn't it? You've mentioned it there, Ito. That ball is absolutely sensational. It's on a plate, and that's probably where, you've mentioned it, John, having an out-and-out goal scorer, they would eat that alive, wouldn't they? When that ball's fizzed across the 6-yard box like that, it's a striker's dream, and Maeda's just a second too slow to react, but Ito started this game like a live wire, and at the moment, Japan, they look really good, and I've been really impressed with them as Perisic thought he'd brought down Tomiyasu there, but referees wave play on. It's real end-to-end and a real good rhythm about this game at the moment. This is what we wanted, just to see it nice and open, and they look both teams full of confidence, and both teams that are not content to sit back and draw the other one on. It's very much both teams wanting to play front foot football, and it's made for a fantastic opening 13 minutes.
Yeah, I think you always look at the games that have come before. Both two teams would want to emulate a France or an England. Put the game to bed. Let's attack. Let's be positive. Let's get on the front foot. Rather than let's be cagey. It's tournament football and all that business. Both teams here are just at it. It's already like a sort of boxing match. This, and both have already landed blows. Not blows enough though that I've seen the back of the net ripple, but both have had their chances, and Japan giving as good as they've got. But Croatia definitely in this game. Working it down the left with Barisic, and then Guardioli able to get past Maeda. Keeps hold of the ball. It's a great little effort from him. Juranovic now has got Kramaric just at the edge of the box. A little bit stilted the movement there, but again into midfield for Brozovic. Plays his football with Inter. Simple pass to Barisic on the left hand side. Is Croatia just getting the feel. The Blazers now just happy to keep the ball. Lost a little bit of momentum out of the break that they had. Maybe want to take a little break as Kovacic comes to join in. Japan are all about the work rate and hard work, aren't they? But I think what England said yesterday was Senegal started like that. England worked the ball side to side, just made them work that hard, and eventually they dropped off. If you're playing against Japan, I think you'd want to play keep ball, have them chasing about for a while, and eventually you try and break them like that. Easier said than done. Great ball round the back here. Kramaric will pick it up just before it rolls out right hand side, and now gets a cross in, left-footed, headed away by the rear guard there, and Ito doing pretty well under pressure, but Croatia will pick the ball back up. Just signs of Croatia beginning to dominate possession a little bit more.
I think they've had the majority of the ball in the opening sort of 15 minutes of this game, but it's something where that long ball in behind sort of the back three is where they seem to be having success. You're just seeing it there with Modric, but this time he's not timed his run just too late, isn't he? He's just offside, but it's something that they've obviously highlighted before the game. Perhaps, you know, Taniguchi and Tomiyasu, neither of them the quickest of players, and they like to think that their wingers in Perisic and Kramaric could just break the lines and get in behind this back three of Japan. But I think Japan have dealt relatively well, I should say, with the Croatia attack so far, apart from that slight Tomiyasu error, which might have been adjudged to have been a foul anyway, as Japan almost played their way into danger there. They got good as well to keep that in. But yeah, it's just something that you've mentioned there. Croatia just starting to dominate the ball a bit, but I don't think Japan will be too worried about that, because they've been used to that in the World Cup so far. Against Germany and against Spain, they've had lesser amounts of the ball and they've still got the result. So they won't be scared that Croatia are dominating the ball.
No, that's right. And, you know, they would even feel, right, we go a goal down, it's not the biggest deal, we'll come back and do what we need to do. What Croatia can't do is just score and rest on their laurels like Spain did, who I thought were a bit complacent really in that game. Anyway, here now come Japan. Great looking ball in, Dyson with the header, and I think just blocked at source by Lovren there. And then trying to keep the ball going. Ito, I don't know if he'd won a corner there. It looks like they're all moving away actually, but we'll get a chance to see that effort. Nagatomo's cross is decent, and well, Dyson just doesn't quite get there, does he?
Yeah, Maeda's got to be doing better there, hasn't he? Look at again, it's Nakatomo's ball is actually brilliant. It's a really good first touch. Cuts inside on his right foot, swings that ball in, and Maeda just evades his head in the end. But every time Japan go forward, they are looking dangerous. That's something that Croatia will be worried about, is that even though they've probably dominated the majority of the ball, Japan have looked the more threatening going forward.
Mike Yoshida there just robs Petkovic of the ball. He needs to do a little bit better. 6'4" and real target man back to goal. He's got to keep that ball. But there's a foul in the middle of the park there. Guardiola just mistimes his challenge this time, and that will allow a free kick at the edge of the area. Probably a bit too far out for a direct effort, but no doubt a foul there on Duan going through the back of him, and Guardiola just missed timing it.
Eager to win the ball back, wasn't he there? And he see the ball for a second, but it's really clever play from Doan. He just uses his body, gets body in between man and ball, and then draws the foul in a dangerous position. It's very central this, so it is hard to generate the angle to put the ball into the box. I wonder whether they're going to play short and try and perhaps change the angle of this crossing opportunity. But you know, nonetheless, it's a chance for Japan. And we've already seen when they've put the ball into the box that Croatia's defenders, they're not the most, you know, confident in dealing with those balls, because they've let a few go across the face of goal, and Japan have been very close to opening the scoring had it be for, you know, perhaps a bit more fortune on their side.
Well, they take it short this time, and then the ball steered around the corner. It's a poor one. Guardiola heads that one away. And a ridiculous attempt at header. I thought there should have been a foul right there, but our referee today is not convinced. Ismail El Fath has decided that there was no case to answer, and he's actually from the United States, the referee. So again, Croatia back on the ball with Guardiola, who just finds Barisic left hand side, just steady possession for Croatia. Japan just ferry back inside their own half. I think I prefer to see them try to keep a shape up the field rather than just let Croatia play out through the back four like that. But anyway, Tomiyasu just thumps the ball back to Gonda. He's had a difficult start, the Arsenal man. I think he maybe just looks a little bit ring rusty, you know.
He's not been playing too much in Qatar so far, John, as he's made a couple of substitute appearances. But I think the thing he'll be worrying most about is that, you know, when I actually look for that Perisic moment again, I'm not quite sure it was a foul. It was the tiniest bit of contact, and I don't know whether VAR would have deemed that enough to overturn the referee's on-field decision, and perhaps that's just sort of knocked Tomiyasu's confidence a bit. The fact that he almost gave away an early goal. Ito looks dangerous down that right-hand side again, puts a ball in, but it's easy for Livakovic, and he'll claim that grasp really. But yeah, Ito for me is the man at the moment for Japan. We see it again, he gets the ball here, and every time he gets it, he's just looking to take on Barisic, isn't he? He's beating him every time at the moment, and I'm sure that the Rangers man will just be slightly worried. He's not had too much minutes in Qatar so far either, has he?
No, and he looks like he's beating all ends up there by Ito. He's just quicker than him. He puts his head down, gets the byline, and whips a decent ball in, but Livakovic got there first. Here now, Juranovic, heavy touch from him, and Taniguchi gets there, and again it's Japan on the ball, 20 minutes on the clock. He continues his run, and Taniguchi can pick that up. Ball into midfield for Morita, and then Tomiyasu is coming a little bit further forward for Ito. Crossing this time, easily dealt with by Croatia.
Yeah, Brozovic done that well, didn't he? Good chest there away from the central midfield. That's what you want sometimes in midfielders, to drop in to that back line and just help them out, because they've not been quite confident. I mentioned it earlier, they've not been brilliant at defending with the set pieces there. And again, this time it's Yoshida giving away a sloppy foul, and Croatia could just relieve that pressure that's on them. But yeah, again, I think Moriyasu will be happy open 21 minutes, and I don't think Zlatko Dalic will be particularly disappointed either. His team have dominated the possession, but Japan have probably created the better chances, so it's been quite an even start. And although Croatia are dominating the possession, they're not doing an awful lot with it, and I think that's credit to Japan's defensive structure and their shape.
Yeah, I think you've got a sneaky fancy for Japan, and I've got a sneaky fancy for Croatia, but I still don't know which of us is going to be successful. I think both the two teams are playing pretty well. And it's difficult to judge. Japan just playing out from the back now with Yoshida through the middle to Morita. Plays his football in Portugal for Sporting. A lot of these Japanese guys play their football in Europe now, and they seem the better for it. Nagatomo, I know, plays FC Tokyo, but there's a good bedrock of good savvy players. I always like Yoshida at Southampton. I thought he was good as Guardiola wins the ball, and then he goes knee to knee with Doan, and he's down, and he certainly felt that blow. But anyway, we're halfway through the first half, listening to independent off-tube studio commentary from myself, John Hogan, and now to take us through to half-time, here's Ben Rogers.
There could be really sore ones there, actually, and Guardiola just seems to be really struggling. We see it again here. It's a poor loose touch from Doan, and then Guardiola just nips him really well ahead of the Japanese winger, and then Doan just leaves the tiniest bit on him. And to be fair to Guardiola, he's not making the most of this. It is really a sore one. It looks as if he's holding the inside of his right groin, so he's back up to his feet now, but he's already been in the wars. That's why he's wearing the face mask, of course, and now with a leg injury. So he's very much a player that wears his heart on his sleeve and puts his body on the line. But John's mentioned it there, the amount of European contingent that Japan now have playing across the whole of Europe's top 5 leagues. 19 out of the 26 of this Japan squad are playing their football in Europe, and I think that just shows the upward trajectory in which Japanese football is going in at the moment, and that's exactly why they've reached the round of 16 stage for the 3rd time in the last 4 World Cup editions. Of course, never made it past this stage at a World Cup before though, and they really fancy their chances of this being a big opportunity to make it to the quarterfinals for the first time.
I'm just looking to see if he picked up an injury, who would replace him, and Domingo Vidas, he's back in the squad anyway, and not that he's ever been out of it. 100 caps he's got, 33 years of age, and he'd be a very good replacement, but I don't think we've seen him in the tournament so far. But he's certainly a good player to bring in. Was at Besiktas, as I mentioned, but now at AEK Athens, so still a very good standard from him.
Rodgers' ball in, wasn't a very good one, but Perisic tried to flick it down. Japan didn't really clear their lines, and it fell to that man Gvardiol on the edge of the box, 20 years old. Central defender, and it's very much a central defender's shot. It was skied all the way into the back of the Japanese fans in the back row of the crowd there. John, it was a poor effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't quite know how he managed to get so much loft on that. He seemed to have his head over the ball, but then he just flew up in the air, but somehow he got his technique wrong. A bit of adrenaline there, and just snatched at his effort really, when he might have wanted to stroke it, but there we go. Half a chance, but nothing doing really. And as yet, well, we've seen one save from Gonda, haven't we? Livakovic hasn't had that much to do, but Japan have had their efforts. They headed wide from Taniguchi. And Ito cross was just past Dyson's lunge as well. 3 minutes on the clock. Half a chance, but nothing doing really. And as yet, well, we've seen one save from Gonda, haven't we? Livakovic hasn't had that much to do, but Japan have had their efforts. They headed wide from Taniguchi. And Ito cross was just past Dyson's lunge as well. So both teams have had their chances.
Just starting to get a foothold of this game, Croatia, because when Japan have got the ball, they were starting to play out in the opening sort of 5-10 minutes, but now they've just been forced to go long, and Croatia can just start to dominate the ball and tire out these Japanese legs. 25 minutes played at the Al Janoub Stadium. Japan 0, Croatia 0, round of 16 match, of course. We've already seen Netherlands, Argentina, France and England through. Who's going to be the 5th team into the quarterfinals? There's a long ball there from Croatia. Has put Petkovic in, but he's just done too much. I think he should have took it early on his left foot, but in the end he's tried to cut inside of Tomiyasu, and Tomiyasu, to his credit, the Arsenal defender, done well to get back, and it's an easy, grateful claim for Gonda, but it's that long ball again. It's Gvardiol's ball, and Tomiyasu is so deep with Perisic that the ball straight through the middle of the Japanese back line, puts Petkovic in behind. He's not quite got the pace, has he, Petkovic? He's not quite got the legs, but
he ain't got a left foot. That's what he's not got. I mean, because he goes through there, he's got a chance to get his shot away. He just doesn't fancy it with his swinger, does he? And then he tries to cut onto his right. Too late, mate. Everybody's back and defending then. You know, and it's a real shame, that, isn't it? Keep moaning about that there's no two-footed players, but I don't think you have to be two-footed to think I'm only going to get one chance, and I've got to take it with my wrong foot. You know, whether it's successful or not, I think you've got to try, and just a lack of ambition there from Petkovic. It was poor because he was right through.
From that sort of distance as well, I think the power would beat the goalkeeper. Doesn't he have to be the greatest place shot in the world? He wasn't that far out, was he? About 10 yards from goal, but tried to cut into his right-hand side, and Tomiyasu was able to get back, but a real let-off for Japan, because they've been very solid defensively for the majority of this match, but that was absolutely awful defending. The line was all over the place.
Through ball from, because it was superb.
Gvardiol, the RB Leipzig centre, of course, highly rated, isn't he? We've spoken about him already today, 20 years old, and a lot of players are looking for him, but you've got to look at that Japanese back line as well. It was almost in a diagonal line, and there'd be one that they'll just be wary of, because I mentioned the long ball earlier on, John, didn't I? And if Japan are going to keep being vulnerable to that long ball, eventually Croatia are going to break the lines. We've seen it there, but
well, I think it's difficult because they're a back three, but it looks like they want Tomiyasu to go forward with the ball, but then how do you hold a straight line of three? The answer is you don't. And they were like a dog's hind leg there when Petkovic just ran through the middle. It looked really poor to the naked eye, but I don't think it was Tomiyasu's fault necessarily. A really good ball from Gvardiol, and then really tame finish from Petkovic.
Perisic looked for Perisic. Perisic let it run to Petkovic, but don't quite sure that Perisic got the call there from Petkovic, because they didn't seem to be on the same wavelength at all. But nonetheless, Croatia will come again with Inter Milan's Brozovic to Modric. Modric just starting to pull the strings. Now outside of the football there is absolutely perfect from Luka Modric to Perisic, who fires it across goal with his left foot, but it evades absolutely everyone. But all the way over to Juranovic, who whips it in towards Petkovic at the back post, and I think it's Ito in the end that just gets the flick on it. But Barisic will keep it in. The Rangers fullback will deliver. Perisic flicks on at the front post, and then it was Kramaric coming in at the back post, but it's evaded everyone. And again, Juranovic can keep it in. Another ball in from Modric towards Perisic at the back post, and Ito clears. But Croatia just starting to up the tempo. 3 or 4 balls into the box there. And had Kramaric been a bit braver, John, I think Croatia would have opened the scoring.
Yeah, he looks like he's so close to that. You know, clever little flick on from Perisic.
Just sort of backs off here. You just see it there. He just sort of backs off. I think he throws himself at the ball there.
Yeah, I don't understand that really. He just dangles the leg there. I'd be thinking, I don't care about the muck and bullets. I'm going to go for that with my head, diving header. You know, even if you're banging into the post, if you score a goal at that point, could be absolutely decisive.
Similar to sort of Christian Pulisic against Iran, wasn't it? He threw himself at it and he got himself injured in the process. But you've got to, you know, I remember Neil Warnock said you've got to die for 3 points, and that is what you've got to do. And you see it there. If he just throws himself at the ball there, Kramaric, of course, already got 2 goals in the competition so far, both coming against Canada, then we probably would have seen Croatia in the lead there, because I don't think a Japanese defender was going to be able to block his attempted effort. But in the end, he just sort of dangled a boot, as you mentioned, probably afraid of, if anything, just being a bit braver there, and he came open the score.
I mean, the other thing there, he goes with his head, and it's about shoulder high, isn't it? But if someone then tries to boot it, then you've got maybe a penalty, dangerous play, and all that sort of stuff. But just think, back yourself there. You know, you got to be a bit braver sometimes, don't you? And you know, hang the consequences. But he just dangled a leg. That was poor.
Perisic's long throw towards Petkovic, headed away well by the veteran former Southampton defender Maya Yoshida, of course, the Japanese captain. And Petkovic will flick that on back into the box. This time cleared by Nagatomo and then headed away by Doan. But Croatia are just winning the 2nd and 3rd balls at the moment. And as soon as that starts to happen, you feel the tide's going to turn in their favour. Just coming up to half-hour mark now of play. Barisic's ball in, real poor one. Then it's cleared away by Taniguchi, but given away again this time by Maeda, and Japan just starting to be a bit sloppy on the ball, and Croatia getting a foothold in this football match, and you feel it's only a matter of time at the moment before Croatia perhaps open the scoring. Luka Modric starting to get a lot bigger influence in this game. He finds Brozovic. Brozovic gives the ball away, and now Japan can bring it out with Endo. Endo will look towards Kamada in behind. Kamada one-on-one with Dejan Lovren. Lovren, good tackle, but only as far as Nagatomo. Kamada stayed down under that tackle from Lovren, but Nagatomo's playing on. I think he's going to put the ball out now, is he? Because he's run out of room, but Nagatomo's back to his feet, and then Kamara.
I thought it looked like a foul on Daichi Kamada there. Anyway, he went down looking. Referee Ismail Al-Faf just looked at him. No, mate, get up. Anyway, yeah, they won the ball. I thought there might be something on. It was like a lightning break, and then it all dissolves. I think you've got a problem when you're Japan, they've gone out there, and I've said that it's almost like they're a 3-7 formation, you know, and then they all work hard and they work back, you know, below the halfway line, and then it's a long way to goal when they're breaking, you know, and to support attacks, and all of a sudden you've got one or two puffing and blowing out there. I just wonder if they're, to some degree, blowing themselves out. In a way, in games where they've gone behind, it's almost like the opposition has then backed off and allowed them to get ahead of steam. You know, here, they don't have that. It's something else. You know, they're going to have to find the back of the net at some point, unless it goes to penalties, of course. But I just think it's a different story here. And they've got a team who know how to measure a 90 minutes, who won't blow themselves out, who won't knock off at any given point. They certainly won't knock off if they score a goal. I think this is going to be a really stiff ask for this Japanese team, despite the fact they've had a great World Cup. I still just seen sides that I think it ends today, you know.
It's an interesting one, John, and one that we'll sure be able to keep an eye on for the rest of this match. But you know, you've got to give credit to Japan to get to this stage so far. I'm not sure many people thought they would get out of a very much group of death with Germany and Spain, but of course they sent Germany packing home, and managed to top their group, which included Spain as well, of course, 2010 and 2014. I
think there's something similar to when the USA played Netherlands. I genuinely thought USA would be a threat, but the Netherlands just had, they were too savvy. It's like they'd seen it all before. You know, no doubt which team worked harder in the game, but it's about being smart. You know, football's not just about hard work, is it? If it was, all the teams would be fairly even. You know, it's about quality and skill on the ball and about tactics, what you're going to do, how you measure your game through 90 minutes, the strength of what you've got on the bench as well. I just think it looks to me like Croatia are just holding more cards.
Kamada and Doen have swapped wings for now. Here is Kamada on the right-hand side this time, and Kamada will find Ito. Ito back towards Tomiyasu. Japan just enjoying a nice spell of possession they've not had for a while here. Tomiyasu looks for Ito in behind, wasn't quite on. Kovacic will pick that ball up. He's under pressure from Tomiyasu, but Brozovic picks up the second ball, and then Brozovic brings down his man there, but referee waves play on, and the ball switched out towards Nagatomo on this left-hand side. Of course, he's the left wing back this afternoon for Japan, and here comes Yoshida. Yoshida in towards Endo. Endo back to Taniguchi. Taniguchi finds Tomiyasu, and this is better from Japan. Just a nice spell of possession, keeping the ball on the floor and just making Croatia do a bit of running, because they've not had all too much to do in the opening 33.5 minutes, and the ball's kept nicely there by Marito. He's a player we've not mentioned much in this first half, if at all, if any. And the ball's brought down well there, and here's Kamada. Kamada drifts into a central position. He's just going to find Taniguchi. Taniguchi thought about releasing Nagatomo early, but Japan just keeping hold of the ball, and this is much better from Moriasu's side here. It's just making Croatia do a bit of work in their defensive half, and it's something that they've not.
They need to do this because, you know, there's no doubt that they're up against a slightly older team. Players like Perisic and Modric, no spring chickens. Oh, here they go, maybe an opportunity, but the final ball, just killing them there, because they're a great opportunity. Endo then, if he could have just turned that ball, Maeda's made a good run, and I think, you know, then maybe he's through on goal. Final ball, they've got to pass the ball through stages like that, you know, 20, 30 passes, and work Croatia, because it's much easier for Croatia when they're on the ball, and they've been dominating possession and territory. It was a good passage to play that for Japan. They need more of that.
They're plenty quick triangles there. It's between Dohan, Endo and Maeda, and Dohan found Maeda. Maeda just looked to flick it back towards Endo, the Stuttgart midfielder, and just evaded him. The ball was just wide of him. If it was in his path, I think he was in on goal then, and Japan had a real opportunity. But as soon as Japan quicken up the pace of an attack, they do look dangerous, and Croatia will be very wary of that. And Japan have already shown that they can score goals at this tournament. 4 of them have come already for them. 4, of course, as well for Croatia, and that was all in one game against Canada. They've actually failed to score in 2 of their 3 games, Croatia, so that'd be a worrying stat for Zlatko Dalic's side, as Croatia hoik a clearance there, only as far as Tomiyasu though, and then Kovacic wins the ball back absolutely brilliantly off Morita, and now Guvanovic could bring the ball out. Absolutely brilliant work from Gvardiol there. The RB Leipzig central defender, it's brilliant stuff to win the ball back. He drove about 15-20 yards, but his pass evaded Petkovic, I should say, and Japan will regain possession with Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu finds Morita. Morita back towards his captain Mao Yoshida, who finds Arsenal's Takehiro Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's through ball there, not a bad one, but just evaded Kamada's touch, and Kamada was stretching there with Gvardiol, and I think Gvardiol's not quite shaken off that injury from earlier. He seems to be limping around the pitch now and just holding at his right ankle. He's been in the wars already in the opening 36 minutes, the young 20-year-old defender, and I think his manager's there just signalled to him, "Are you okay?" And Gvardiol's put his thumbs up, so we want to keep an eye on there. And there's Ivan Perisic to Modric. Modric under pressure, and I think Maeda's forced a throw in there off Luka Modric. He has really good work from the Celtic forward.
Yeah, Gvardiol looks worrying, doesn't he? Always feeling down at his right ankle and all that. And you know, I know he's a great player and all that, but you want fit players out there. You know, Perisic, good interception there, and Croatia back on the ball. But then Modric gives it away. Just a little bit sloppy here, Croatia. It's like they've decided to have a 10-minute break.
Yeah,
but
the pace of the game's certainly dropped, John, hasn't it? And I think
yeah.
that's allowed Japan just to creep back into the game, because they were up against it for 10-15 minutes. But in the last 5 minutes of this game, the Japanese, the Samurai Blue, have certainly crept back into it. Saying that, here's a chance for Croatia on the counter-attack. Brilliant tackle there from Endo on Kovacic, and here come Japan again. They're just starting to improve, and that will, I'm sure, please Moriyasu 10 minutes before, or 8 minutes before we find out how long it's going to be added for stoppages. But we have not had too much in a great deal of stoppages, apart from Gvardiol being down for a couple of minutes, so I'm not expecting it to be the 10 minutes that we've seen in a lot of games at the World Cup so far, probably about 2 or 3, but of course still 8 minutes till then, so might have a few more stoppages in between. Here is Japan knocking the ball out the back with Taniguchi, and Taniguchi finds Endo back towards the centre half. Taniguchi, Nagatomo, Morita. Japan just knocking the ball about, and they'll be happy just to take the sting out of Croatia for now. And Croatia, as John mentioned, they've got a lot of experience, of older players in their team, so they're not quite keen on pressing, are they? They've not quite got the legs to be able to press at the intensity of what Japan can. Kamada finds Nagatomo. Can he deliver another dangerous ball like he did a few minutes ago? And he's trying to, this time on his left foot, but it's nowhere near the quality of a last one. It evades absolutely everyone out for a goal kick, and then Livakovic can just say to his players, calm down, let's take a breather now, and then it's going to be a Croatia goal kick.
Yeah, the Japanese fans making plenty of noise, all in their blue shirts, supporting Samurai Blue, and really enjoying it, and they're definitely in the game. I still fancy Croatia, but you know what, it's that energy and industry from Japan that gives them an opportunity and a chance in the game. If Croatia just want to pad the ball about and take a break, that's fine, but you know, Japan have outworked the opposition in this tournament. Beat Spain and Germany. I thought then you know, they had that game sandwiched in the middle, didn't they, against Costa Rica, and you thought, all right, you know, go on and get yourself through. You know, that was a game where I was just really disappointed with them when they had an opportunity. It's in your own hands, you know, go and do it. And in the end, I think it was more about Spain's complacency than Japan being brilliant that got them through that game. And obviously Spain, you know, knew they were going to go through the group anyway. So, yeah, in the end, I thought it you know, it all bent in their favour, but the Costa Rica game was disappointing. They've got to put that to one side though, play well today like they did against Spain or Germany, and you never know. But like I said, Croatia, such a canny old team, they know what they're doing. Now they've got a free kick, and Modric, can he find a teammate? Knockout
specialist, of course, Croatia, and then no stranger to a penalty shootout. They had 2, of course, in 2018, didn't they? And before beating England in extra time, so if they're forced to go long, Croatia, they will go long, but have they still quite got the legs that they had 4 years ago with a lot of the same players in that team, but they've aged 4 years since then. Can Japan counter-attack from that Croatia free kick? They're trying to. Maeda's broke in behind. He's got nothing ahead of him, though. He might have to go alone here, Maeda, but he finds Morita, who puts the ball in. It's not the best clearance there from Brozovic, who's back doing his defensive duties yet again, and Morita will pick up the loose scraps and try and win something for his team. It's a really clever flick. Maeda's in behind Modric goes down, but nothing doing there. It was good strength from Maeda, and then it's a great ball in behind towards Kamada, who cuts in on his right hand side. It's a big opportunity for Kamada, who looks down at the ground. Perhaps he thinks it's taking a little bobble. Again, he takes another look at the ground. Brilliant interplay at first. It was Endo's clever ball in behind. I've been really impressed with the Stuttgart midfielder start. Really good enterprise from Japan, though, just to keep something alive and then create an opportunity. Endo's really clever ball here. It takes everyone out of the game. Kamada just goes round the back, cuts inside of Brozovic onto his right foot, and he just looks down at the pitch again. I think he believes there's a little slight bobble, but what great work that was from Morita to keep the ball in originally, John.
Yeah, some brilliant stuff there. Firstly from Dyson. You know, Modric is trying to chop him down from behind there. I think the referee should bring that back and give Modric a yellow card. Just due to the fact he was able to hurdle it and hold him off didn't mean to say that Modric wasn't trying to bring him down. He was. That should be a yellow card. You know, presence of mind there and strength from Dyson Maeda, and then the rest. Kamada in the box. Again, it's opened up for a left foot strike, and like Petkovic, he hasn't got a left foot. So that means he forced onto his right. You know, the ball might have bobbled or what have you at that point, but he had the ball in control for a left foot strike. You know, don't kick. If you take another touch, it can all go wrong. It's like that extra pass. You know, it's like, oh, well, you had it there. You could have had a shot on target, but he's all right foot. And both teams really guilty today of wasting chances. If only they had left foots in the team.
Yeah, both sides have had glaring opportunities now. 2 for Croatia. Perisic, of course, from that Tomiyasu mistake. You'll see that as a big opportunity, the Spurs player. And then Petkovic, of course, got in behind, but couldn't even get a shot away. And then we've just seen Kamada's opportunity, but Japan have definitely grown into this game at the back end of the first half. Ito to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu finds Endo. Endo looks to deliver a left-footed ball in. It's a really good shape of the ball, and I tell you what, no communication there between defender and goalkeeper. It's Juranovic, yeah, you're right, and Livakovic. Surely Livakovic has got to be just calling goalkeepers here, but I'm sure Juranovic wouldn't have got a call because there was no players around him at all, and just almost playing right into Japan's hands there, and it's gone out for a corner as well, so even more dangerous.
Well, I tell you what, Livakovic never said a word there, did he? You just knew that. Juranovic feels he's forced to deal with that. Because the keeper didn't give a shout. Keeper maybe thought, well, it's obviously my ball. But you've got to call it. We just saw Lothar Matthäus looking on, the German midfielder. As the corner comes in, that's headed away near post by Brozovic. But Croatia under the pump here just before the break. And I think you've got to give credit to Japan this first half. They played really well.
Short corner. Dealt with it slowly. Again, Croatia. Endo's ball in. Again, great shaping it towards Tomiyasu. And it's tapped in! It's Maeda from Celtic who's opened the scoring against Croatia in the World Cup. Again, it's a ball into the box that Croatia do not deal with. A short routine. Doan's ball in. It's absolutely fantastic, the shape of it. And then I think it's Taniguchi. Throws his head towards it. It bounces around straight onto the left foot of Maeda. It's about 8 yards from goal. Cool finish. Can't really miss. Hits the target. Livakovic, no chance. Japan lead Croatia by 1-0, and again, Croatia's defending. Question marks asked, John.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, it's a lovely corner kick routine. When the ball is played, it's a smasher, isn't it? Doan, left foot. The first header is one, and then the ball's down on the deck. We talked about the height. Taniguchi then ball in. I think Yoshida just hung a leg round the corner to flick it back into play. And then I said he doesn't score many goals. You know, he's 1 in 10. Well, now he's 2 in 11, and he won't mind, will he, what I think about him. I like Dyson Maeda, but there, just forcing the ball home from close range. VAR check, as ever. Now, what will they be looking for? Maybe an offside in the...
Yeah, so I think it was Taniguchi, perhaps, or maybe Yoshida. When the original ball comes in from Endo, it was a real tight offside. You could see it at the time, but I think it was onside, and the referees agreed to me because the goal has been given. The VAR check is over. Japan lead Croatia by 1-0 in the round of 16 stage of the World Cup. And are they heading for their first ever World Cup quarter-final? Moriyasu's side me and John have mentioned over the last couple of minutes, they've grown into this game. They've been a lot better, and Croatia have just took a step backwards, and that's allowed Japan to really get onto him. The balls into the box have caused a lot of problems. It was Endo's ball in, and then it was Yoshida and Petkovic that were tossing. I'm not quite sure whether Yoshida hooked it back or whether it's off Petkovic's leg, but it's hit one of the two players back across the goal, and then Maeda for his second goal in 11 games for Japan. But what a big goal it is for the Celtic striker, and Japan lead Croatia by a 1-0 right on a stroke of half-time, as we're just about to find out how long is going to be added on for stoppages.
Well, I tell you what, they're in unknown territory now, aren't they? So they've taken the lead. Now what do? You know, going at half-time and pats on back and all that, and rightly so, but they've got to come back out again. You know, will they get caught trying to hold on to something? You know, will that allow Croatia back into the game? Croatia were trying to take a break, weren't they? You know, let's see it off to half-time. You know, about sort of half hour into the game, they just down tools Croatia, and Japan kept on going. I thought that they deserved that goal that they got. You know, I'm just thinking for half an hour it looked to me like Croatia had too many guns, and then they just stopped. It's like, oh, we're not running anymore. We're a bit tired. But guess what? Japan kept on running, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they thoroughly deserved that goal that they got.
Japan will keep on running as well. John won it for 95 minutes and 120 if it goes all that time. But there was 2 minutes added on by the fourth official. We've played just under a minute of that now. So about a minute to go till half-time. Japan have a throw-in, which Ito's behind, but he throws the ball down towards Morita. We'll just have a look, replay of that goal. It's that short corner routine, and it was Nagatomo who lays it off towards Endo. We're about to see just how tight this offside is. It is really, really tight. It was Taniguchi who was being marked there by Dejan Lovren, but he was just onside. And well, it's those fine margins, isn't it? And it's those fine margins that have worked in Moriyasu and the Blue Samurais' favour as Japan lead Croatia by a 1-0. About 35 seconds left until the referee will blow his whistle for the interval, and Croatia perhaps going to try and muster up one final chance. Petkovic, good strength there. He finds Gvardiol. Can Croatia get the ball forward and hit Japan right where it hurts, right on the stroke of half-time, peg them back and go in to the break level? Here is their midfield maestro, Luka Modric. Of course, the golden ball winner, wasn't he? The 2018 World Cup. He was absolutely fantastic. And Modric here finds Petkovic. Petkovic brings it down, looks to fire the ball across goal, but Yoshida sticks to his task well, points to his head, tells his teammates to stay in the game because this is the final bit of defending we have to do for this half. Luka Modric is going to have time to take this corner kick. He's got the 6'4" frame of Petkovic to aim for. Kramaric, of course, how deadly is he in the air? He's already scored 2 goals in this World Cup. He'll be looking to add a third here. Luka Modric, right foot out, swinging ball, final bit of action of this half. Modric to deliver. Croatia have got a lot of bodies in the box here and a lot of tall, big frames. Modric opts to go short just as Croatia did. Is it going to be to the same effect? Really clever here. It's a great ball in from Juranovic, and it's met the head of Lovren, just over the head of Lovren. Is Brozovic going to get time to put the ball into the box? No, he isn't. Half-time whistle blows, and Japan deservedly lead at the break. They started the opening 5-10 minutes, the better team, and then Croatia drew into the game, had a couple of chances with Perisic and Petkovic, but then Japanese quick short corner routine, and it found Maeda of Celtic, who's give Japan the lead, and they're all smiles at the break as the Blue Samurai lead Croatia by a 1-0.
I saw an opening there. The cover was a little bit slow to get to him. His shot left a lot to be desired, really, blazed over the top. But, you know, I thought just for a spell in the first half, Croatia got on top. And it seemed to me, oh, you know, they were dominate possession territory. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a long day, really, for Japan playing without the ball. And then all of a sudden, they got on it, started creating. Perisic now ball across, but he can't find Kramaric. Just trying to see if there'd been any changes. Not obvious to me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there are or have not been. Looks like Petkovic is still out there, Perisic and Kramaric. I think if anybody was going to change, it probably would be Croatia, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, Japan would be the happier side, aren't they? The high energy, disciplined performance that they put in the first half. Another 45 minutes of that is what Moriyasu would have been saying, and they'll be through to the quarterfinals of a World Cup for the first time. And they've really been a breath of fresh air, haven't they, Japan, in this tournament? I mean, I think everyone really wants to see them do well, and people have described them as underdogs, but I don't necessarily think they were underdogs going into this fixture, John. I think we spoke before the game, and I said to you, I think I fancy Japan in this game, and Croatia, they looked a bit leggy towards the back end of the first half, and that's a worry for them. We've already spoken about the experienced heads they've got. Perhaps they're going to have to look towards some younger players on the bench to replace sort of these older experienced heads. I'm not talking about taking Luka Modric off. Of course, he has to be on the pitch for Croatia to turn this around, but perhaps taking Petkovic off and putting Kramaric through the middle is an option for Croatia, because at the moment it's just not quite clicking for them. And I've been particularly impressed with the work rate of the front three of Japan. And Maeda got his goal, and he really worth it, wasn't he? He worked so hard, and then Doan as well. He's been up and down that right-hand flank like a live wire, and been really impressive. Kamada of Frankfurt as well, and it's not something that we should be unused to seeing, because we've already mentioned, I'll break off here, as Croatia just got the ball in the box, but I think Japan have cleared it well. But I just look at this Japanese team, and they've got a plethora of talent playing across Europe and in the Champions League as well. You look at the likes of Kamada, and how well did he play home and away against Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League this season. And you know, the European football fans should be put on notice that this Japan team they've got a plethora of talent in their ranks, and in 19 out of 26 playing their football in Europe. This is a Japan team that's really on the rise, and it should be no surprise to any of us that they're doing so well.
No, exactly. I agree with that. I think I'd take Petkovic off and try and beef up the midfield for Croatia, where they seem to be losing the battle. Anyway, right for the moment then, there's a long throw for Juranovic. Little flick on from Petkovic, and then the ball hooked in. That's always going wide. The effort from Kovacic, who you know, is an energetic midfielder, but never really been a goal getter. Just hooked it round the corner. Nobody was really overly bothered, including Shuichi Gonda, the Japanese goalkeeper. Has not had a right lot to do. We saw that little, I thought, Perisic foul on Tomiyasu, but maybe it would or would not have been given. But anyway, Gonda made a good save from Perisic. Other than that, we saw Petkovic through, and we found out he's definitely got no left foot, as he cut onto his right, lost his chance. And then Kramaric needed to be a bit braver, didn't he? We saw a good little glancing cross from Perisic's head, and he just hung a leg out of that for an effort where we thought he should have been diving for it. Anyway, there needs to be some desperation, because you know they're in a desperate situation right now, as Endo makes a break, puts the ball across, and again, look how many bodies they've got in the box. You know, a shot comes in from Marita, headed away though, and still not cleared by Juranovic. They're making a right mess of clearing their lines. Guardiola first with a loose header. Just so much ambition from Japan. I'd say, you know, they're playing with 3 at the back and 7 in midfield. But that's right, and also not right at the same time, because they had about 3 or 4 bodies in the box, you know, when the cross comes in.
And that's the sort of mentality they need to have. Yes, they're leading this game 1-0, but don't sit back and, you know, just admire your lead. You've really got to go for it and put Croatia to the sword now. Get them up against it. If you get a second goal here just after the break, I think Croatia are really going to struggle to find their way back into this game, especially with them already looking leggy in Japan. They're just full of energy, aren't they? And they're so disciplined as well. You know, if they throw bodies forward, they're so quick to get back into shape and restructure, and that's a sign of a real good side when everyone's buying into what the manager wants you to do. And with things like that happening, it's just real success that Japan can have. And I really wouldn't be surprised, you know, Brazil or South Korea's the match up next if you get past this. Of course, Brazil the favourites for the tournament. It's going to be a real tough task, but if Japan can find their way past Croatia this evening, then why can't they go and give Brazil a real good effort and just at least match them energy-wise and make Brazil just outclass you?
Exactly. You know, dare to dream. You know, if you're doing something right, and they must be, to take the scalps that they've got. I mean, really, you know, if you'd have said to me, oh, you know, we're headed back there from Lovren back to his keeper, he's tight, that in the tournament Japan would beat Germany, Spain and Croatia, I would have laughed at you. I would have just laughed in your face. No, I mean, I do that anyway, Ben, but you know what I mean. Ball in the box here, and that's defended by Yoshida.
I mean, to top that group, John, it just says all you need to know about this Japanese team. A group that included Germany and Spain, and Japan have topped the group, sent Germany packing. Now they've got Croatia, who finished second in their group, of course, and now they've beaten Croatia by a goal to nil. But there's real complaints here from the Croatian players for a potential penalty, and it looked a bit reckless. I don't know if it was Taniguchi or Yoshida, but it was in the back of Petkovic as the ball went into the box, and there was a bit of contact. So I'm sure the referee will have a look at that, and the Croatian players are still fuming. So when the ball goes out, it'll be interesting to see whether VAR is going to take this incident any further. But Croatia, for the meantime, come again.
Petkovic now, right foot. Don't know what he wants there. Is it a shot? Is he trying to play in Karamirich? I don't know. Anyway, might get a chance to look at that other effort when the ball comes in from the left-hand side. Barishic's ball, he just wants to go down. I think that Yoshida's got an arm across him, and you're always in danger when you do that. It's not enough. And then my other thought is that he's not going to get the ball no matter what. You know, he needed a step ladder to get that ball, and so I think the referee is actually having a good game. He's bang right there. And if VAR looked at that, they would have looked at that for a nanosecond and thought, no chance. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, the referee's letting a lot of it flow, and I think that's really helped this game, because it's ebbed and flowed, isn't it? For the opening half an hour, it was really end-to-end stuff. The rhythm of the game was brilliant. It was played at a great pace, and that's favoured Japan as well, to be honest, because they like the high-octane, high-energy sort of games, don't they? And I think that's probably why they had slightly the better of it in the end of the first half. Croatia had their moments, of course, but they didn't take them, and then Japan come on strong towards the back end of the first half. But Deiza Maeda, incidentally, the second Japan player from Celtic who scored for them at the World Cup after Shunsuke Nakamura, of course. Only Celtic players for Sweden have scored more than what they have for Japan.
Yeah, wowee. Anyway, a little break again from Ito. He's been eye-catching, hasn't he? And had such a good game. You know, he's got Barisic on toast there, but Barisic there at about a 10-metre start, didn't he? Just as well. Ball to Ito again. Chance for a cross. Puts the cross in. Deflected. Maybe a chance for Maeda. Dealt with by Lovren in behind Variol. But Maeda, the meat in the sandwich there, but doing a really good job. You know, he's like a makeshift striker. He didn't even play striker for Celtic, does he? You know, he's probably behind Kyogo Furuhashi for Celtic in terms of striking, and then you got Giacomakis and the rest. He is a sort of just an attacker. I say just, you know, inside left, inside right, second striker. He's having to lead the line today, but he's doing a really good job of it. You know, he's not shirking the task. He's engaging the two centre backs. He's not trying to hide. Anyway, they've got a corner kick now. The ball that rolls in, little flick off the boot of Taniguchi, still not being cleared away, and eventually Morita's header is blasted clear by the Blazers, who will then pick up the ball. 54 minutes gone, Japan 1, Croatia 0. I'm not really seeing any great signs of a Croatia fight back right at the minute.
No, there's not any signs of a response since the break, but just going to go back to that corner. It's a really good ball from Endo, because Taniguchi's pulled off his man in acres of space, and he's tried that sort of back heel flick, hasn't he? I don't think he should be doing that. It was a head height for him. I feel like he should be trying to flick that, as we see Perisic doing the first half, flick it towards the back post and just gamble that a player's going to be on the end of it. I feel that sort of back heel flick's a lot more risk and takes a lot more skill, and especially for a centre half there, John. Really disappointed with Taniguchi, and I think if he got an opportunity like that again, he should be just trying to flick the ball towards the back post and just hope that perhaps one of his central defender partnerships or Maeda is at the back post to gamble and nod it home, because it was poor defending once again from Croatia, and they don't look too keen on defending balls in the box, and which is a strange one, because Gvardiol and Lovren are two physical centre-backs, but they don't really like the aerial side of the game, do they?
Header comes in. Oh, what a header from Perisic. He's got his team back in it. Out of nothing, out of absolutely nothing. A percentage cross from the right-hand side and a bullet header. And Croatia back in the game. We've been raving about Japan, but what a goal from Ivan Perisic. He knows how to get it done. His 33rd goal for Croatia.
Wow, well, he scored in the World Cup final 4 years ago. He scored big knockout goals for Croatia in the World Cup. I said they don't like the aerial side of the game. Well, the forwards clearly do, John, because Perisic, what a header this is. And it's just a ball out towards Juranovic, isn't it? And then he'll just knock it back towards, I think it's the centre-half, Dejan Lovren with the ball in. It is, he's so far up the pitch. It's a real early cross from, it's really deep ball where he's actually putting it in. But I tell you what, Lovren, the shape and the power of the ball, the precision of it's brilliant. And Perisic has just peeled off O.A.T. He's got a lot of work to do though. He's about 16 yards out behind the penalty spot, but his header is absolutely inch perfect into the far left-hand corner. No chance for Gonda in goal. He's at full stretch, but he's nowhere near it. And Croatia, out of absolutely nothing, they've offered very little in the opening 11 minutes of his half, have drawn level. Japan 1, Croatia 1.
Well, I tell you what, some things you see and you can't sort of unsee, can you? The hair's just stood up on my arms and the back of my neck there. I'm just looking at that thinking, wow. Sometimes you need to stand up. I've been sort of criticising Perisic this season. I say, no, he's a bit of a busted flush playing for Tottenham. Conte keeps playing him all the time. He sees, you know, that bit of quality that he's had over the years. You know, and when he gets on the ball, he's great. You know, I think where's the energy from him nowadays? He obviously doesn't cover the ground quite as much as he used to do, but his quality on the ball is superb. Whenever you can get the ball to him, but he's headed there. I mean, he heads the ball further than I can kick it, and with more power and authority, he starts that header outside the goal, and it curls back in. The shot comes in from range. Oh, what a save there from Livakovic. Shot coming from the edge of the area. Was it Morita? I'm not sure. Needed tipping over. No, in fact, it was Endo. Right foot strike. Really catches it smartly. That ball's dipping in.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement on the ball as well, John, wasn't it? It was a right-footed sort of curling effort, but it was curling towards the goalkeeper rather than away from him, but it made it more difficult. It's a real strong hand from Livakovic over the bar, but a good response from Japan after being pegged back, and really interesting now because it's unfamiliar territory for the Japanese side, isn't it? They've not really been pegged back onto level terms. Of course, both their wins have been coming from behind, and then they've drew level, and then they've gone on to win against Germany and Spain. So this is unfamiliar territory for this Japanese side. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with the pressure of being pegged back.
Exactly, it's a momentum shift, isn't it? Can Croatia make the best of it? That goal came from nothing. You know, we were talking about Japan just before the goal comes in. If you'd have told me that when that ball was laid back to Lovren, they were going to get a goal from that, again, I'd have just
like... It's an absolutely unbelievable ball from Dejan Lovren, isn't it? Let's not take it. We were talking about the header from Perisic, but that ball in from Lovren is just as good. But here comes Croatia again. Here
is Perisic into the box. He goes. The ball sliced off his boot, and maybe it might just have landed on the boot of Kovacic, who's running in. He didn't. Ball breaks now. Juranovic, right-hand side. Ball into the box. Little give and go. The ball is scraped away off the boot. Won't find Brozovic at the edge of the box. They've got a bit of momentum shift in the game. Japan 1, Croatia 1. This is so exciting. This is what trapdoor football's all about.
Yeah, it is. In Croatia just seem to have found an extra 10% since that goal. We said they look a bit leggy, and all of a sudden that goal, Perisic is now full of running. Didn't see him run in the opening 10 minutes of his half. He's got his goal, and now he's back up, and he's up for it, and you just see him now starting running behind, cut inside. He's all over the place again. This is what they need. Just a little live wire in the midfield, Croatia, and all of a sudden their players look bang up for the task again, and we're at that stage where it's getting a bit dangerous for Japan because you don't want Croatia to hit two in quick succession, but if Croatia are up for this, we've seen the quality that they have going forward.
Unbelievable game of football this, and well, Japan 1, Croatia 1. It's in the lap of the gods this. Japan were dominating, were bossing it, were the better team, grabbed a goal, and then 10 minutes after the break you just thought, yeah, they look like they're going to go on. And then out of nothing, out of absolutely nothing, Croatia back in the game. They've got that quality, and I was thinking, well, can they keep three up top? I might have still got rid of Petkovic to beef up the midfield, but there's no doubt about the quality of Perisic's header. Started outside the goal, just drifted in, bouncing right in front of the goalkeeper as well, diving to his left. Gonda was never going to get that ball with Morita. Here come Japan now on the attack down the left hand side. Nagatomo's balling looks decent. That is headed away. Ball back to Endo, picks it up, thinks about the shot. Ball breaks for Morita. His shot is blocked away by Lovren. They still haven't dealt with it. Now a shot comes in from the edge of the area. Was he pulled back there, the Japanese man, as that shot came in? I'm not sure about that. Ben seems to think something was going on there as two collide. It was Doan at the edge of the box, and was he caught late?
Yeah, I wasn't really, shaking my head about the foul, John. I was just looking at the man over that Japan had on the far right-hand side and just thinking, if he gets his head up there and plays him in, Japan are in a really dangerous position. We see it again here. It's Doan that picks the ball up, isn't it, from the little flick from Endo, and then you just look at the acres of space Ito's in on that far right-hand side. And if Doan could have just perhaps put his head up, to be fair, Barisic is all over him with a shirt, but I think Barisic just stands his ground. If Ito just had a bit more wherewithal just to let the ball roll perhaps through his legs or just try and flick it round the corner, Ito would just ghosted in behind, and he was in acres of space to either square it or go for a shot, I should say. But yeah, it's just moments there for Japan that will give them a bit more confidence after there's a bit more momentum for Croatia, but Japan's still showing that they can be a threat going forward.
Yeah, what a game. We're going to see the first change now, and it's one for Croatia. As the ball into the box here is easily dealt with by Yoshida. Croatia have it back, but there was a foul at this time on Ritsu Doan again. I think then that change is going to be made, and looks like Ante Budimir is the man coming on. The 31-year-old plays his football with Osasuna, and he comes on for Bruno Petkovic. So I thought they might beef up the midfield, but they've put another striker on. So they're it seems like Kodalic is going to keep on keeping on with his 4-3-3 formation. He's 6'3", is Budimir, and he's another one. Maybe having seen Perisic with that headed goal, he thinks they need to get a few more crosses in and keep a big man in the middle. But anyway, he is on. I don't know too much about Budimir, and it'll only be his 16th game for Croatia, just one goal to press. No spring lamb either, at 31 years of age, but in theory, I mean, he might play an hour, but I'm sure that he'll be really up for it. I'm a little bit surprised at that change. So we see a ball into the box, first chance for him.
I don't think Petkovic has had a brilliant game as much as Modric takes a long shot from him.
Oh, what a shot, what a save, more importantly, Gonda getting across there. Brilliant strike from Modric on the half volley. Right foot dipping and curling. And it all set up nicely, maybe too close to the keeper, still needed saving.
We knew, John, didn't we? As soon as he took that first touch and the ball bounced in front of him, that, oh my word, anything could happen here. Luka Modric, the technique and ability that he's got, and he's shown it there in abundance. What a strike that is. Just look at the technique, absolutely inch perfect. But to be fair to Gonda, it's just as good. He's matched him with a save and he's put it behind for a corner. But if you give Luka Modric that sort of space and that sort of time to pick a shot, even if it's on a half volley, he's going to produce magic, and he just almost so did there.
Yeah, ball into the box now. He's slightly overhit. That's going to roll out, and it will just be a goal kick. Quality on show, and the jeopardy in this game, it's just incredible. It's such a good watch, this. There was a real ebb and flow about the first half. Japan started well, then Croatia put their foot in the ball, looked like they were the dominant force. Then they took a break. Japan then, just before the break, came on strong and grabbed the goal that they absolutely deserved. They're going to make a couple of changes now. It looks like Dyson may have run his race there. That's a shame, because he has lit up the game. A lot of work and industry from him. The number 5 Nagatomo has gone off as well, so he and Maeda have both been replaced. Asano is one of those. Trying to find out who the other one is. Mitoma. So so a couple of changes. What do we think about that, Ben?
Well, I think that's really positive intent from Moriyasu, and when you look at the players, Mitoma of Brighton, we've already seen him score against Arsenal in the Cup, didn't we? And he played a big part in that, obviously controversial goal it was in the end, because he couldn't really tell from the camera angle whether or not he kept the ball in, but of course FIFA later released the images and he did keep the ball in. He played a big part in that all-important second goal that beat Spain. And when I look towards Asano as well, he's a brilliant player, come through the Arsenal Academy, didn't he? And then, of course, now playing his football across Europe, but he's a very good player, very tricky winger, and he's a lot more forward-thinking than Nagatomo. I think Nagatomo had a really good game, but he's more there for sort of defensive cover, isn't he? But I think Asano, he's playing his football in VfL Bochum, isn't he, in the Bundesliga, and I think he's more of a forward-thinking player. He will get back and defend, because like the most of the Japan team, he'll work hard, but he's also a sort of player that's got a bit of trickery and a bit of pace to get in behind and really deliver a killer ball. So I think it's a positive forward-thinking change from Japan, which I think is what they would have liked to have seen, because yes, they've not quite got the momentum at the moment. Croatia have pegged them back, but it's good to be thinking forward rather than thinking, oh, let's try and take this into the deep depths of extra time.
Yeah, I mean, I quite agree with that. I think what Moriarty has done is said, let's go for blood, fellas, you know. They're more attack-minded with that. You know, Asano has got 8 goals in 40 games for Japan, clearly, you know, shrinking violet. And the number 9, Mitoma, we said we've seen him score goals this season. They've still got Kamada up the field, so an opportunity. Maybe they're going 4-3-3 anyway. Here, a chance. Perisic now with this shot that's blocked away. Will be headed away as well at the edge of the area. Ball then breaks to Ritsu Duan, but picked up again by Kramaric. Chance for maybe a cross. He hurdles the challenger too on that left-hand side, and then right foot just lays it to Brozovic. Croatia then parked just at the edge of the Blue Samurais area. Can they get a shot out of it? Well, the ball into box, and it's headed just wide. The new man there, Ante Budmir, getting a chance, just a glancing blow with his head. Couldn't get enough beef on it to direct it at goal.
We've praised a lot of the Japanese defending, but just for a second there, they were just caught absolutely... Well, what ball watching, if anything? It was the ball in first from Kramaric, isn't it? Deflected. I think he's trying to actually shoot Kramaric. His ball's deflected. It's bottom, the substitute, I should say, Budimir, who's at the back post, and between Yoshida and Taniguchi, they're just caught standing still, ball watching, and Budimir's got a free header, couldn't quite direct it goalwards, but I don't want to be too critical of the substitute, but I feel like he should be hitting the target at least. It was Croatia already in yet another substitute, but yeah, it's really poor moments there for Japan because they've defended very well for the majority of this game, and of course they conceded through a brilliant header. It wasn't really poor defending, but perhaps there's question marks. Could they have closed Dejan Lovren down quicker when he's got all the time in the world to put the ball in the box? But yeah, just signs that Croatia are just starting to get on top, and Japan, they've made their changes, trying to be proactive, but is that going to be costly in the end and just stop them from being able to defend as well?
Yeah, we'll find out. Pasalic about to come on as well. The Atalanta man is, well, that last ball for Croatia is a poor one, and immediately then Gonda launches a long ball, and he picks out the substitute does well there, and Asano then runs into a defender, but the ball has gone out, and it will be a Japanese still. That change about to be made. Be interesting to see who comes off for Pasalic, and in the end, who's that coming on?
Kramaric, the top goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be disappointed, won't he? But I don't think he's had much of a game. You know, when you see him always scoring goals in the World Cup and all that, you think, oh, he must have turned the corner in form. But whenever I've watched him, I've been vaguely disappointed with him, and it reminds me of what I saw in the Premier League. But anyway, Kramaric is going off. I don't think he's had a great game necessarily. And, yeah, I like Pasalic. I think he's a good player.
I think the substitution there from Croatia highlights how they're going to play now. They've got Perisic and Pasalic on either wing. They're going to try and get width, get balls into the box, and try and get balls onto the head of Budimir. But interesting one with Ivan Perisic. He's now, well, he's getting on now, isn't he? Is he 34 years of age now, Ivan Perisic?
But he's deadly, isn't he? I mean, that's the thing.
33 goals for Croatia. Their top goal scorer now in World Cups alongside Suka. He's their second top goal scorer of all time alongside Mario Mandzukic now, and he just keeps on keeping on, doesn't he? It's so interesting that why Tottenham play him in that defensive role, really, because you see he plays in the front three for Croatia, and he's so deadly in front of goal, scores so many goals for them.
It seems odd that he has him as a wing back at Tottenham, you know, but anyway. It is what it is. That's for Antonio Conte to sort. It's Japan 1, Croatia 1, and it's been a rip-roaring game this way. 3/4 of the way through it. You're listening to independent off-tube studio commentary, and it's going to be Ben now to take us through to full time.
69 minutes, the clock strikes as Japan and Croatia are still at a stalemate, still 1-1. Kanito getting the end of this. He does really well there to evade the challenge of Kovacic and plays it off to Endo. Endo finds his midfield partner there, Morita. Morita knocks it on to Taniguchi. Taniguchi out wide to the substitute Mitoma. Of course, playing his football at Brighton and Hove Albion. Here is the pace that Mitoma can offer. He got beyond Pasalic, but couldn't keep the ball in and was just about to peg the ball back to the edge of the box. Ivan Perisic, in fact, just now one of 4 players to have scored at the last 3 World Cups after Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and of course Xherdan Shaqiri that also done it a couple of days ago. So I mean, he's
good company,
in great company, isn't he? There, Ivan Perisic. It just shows the longevity and the consistency that he's had. It's 8 years, of course, a lot over the last 3 World Cups. So to be able to keep that level of consistency is something that is why he's in this Croatia team. Really, have scored in the final 4 years ago, as I mentioned earlier on. And
I mean, he said it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, you know, Japan deserved the goal that they got, and it was a team goal as well. A few touches and a bit of bravery then from the cross. But Perisic was just a wonder header. I mean, it's the best header that we've seen in the World Cup so far, you know, by a mile. We haven't seen too many headers, have we, actually?
Really, really poor there from Tomiyasu. It was a simple 5-yard pass to Ito, and it's just evaded him.
He's had a funny game. I said he looked rusty at the start. I still think that. Still think he's got a mistake in him. He's looked a bit iffy today.
Yeah, he's not quite hit the levels that he has for Arsenal over the past 18 months. Tomiyasu has been an injury-plagued season. It was going to be a late fitness test, wasn't he, to actually make the Japan squad, but he did in the end. He's not had too many minutes, had a couple of substitute appearances, and he's had to be in from the off today, and he gives the ball away again there as he goes, looks for a long ball, and Juranovic is under pressure there from Asano, and the referee has agreed with Juranovic that he was brought down. It's going to be Croatia free kick as we enter the final 20 minutes of normal time in this match at the Al Janoub Stadium. Japan 1, Croatia 1. Croatia pegged them back after the break through a brilliant Ivan Perisic header after Celtic's Maeda gave Japan the lead. Real poor pass that from Brozovic. Can Japan offer something going forward here? I don't think that was the right ball. Tried to go long there, Morita, but it wasn't on. And now Croatia looked to go forward, but Yoshida steps in well. And now Morita under pressure, but does well to keep hold of the ball. There, the number 13 of Japan. He finds Takiro Tomiyasu, who finds Taniguchi. Taniguchi in towards Kamada of Eintracht Frankfurt. He's played Champions League football this season, so he's very used to these big occasions. As good hold-up play there from Matoma to Ito. Ito one-on-one with Rangers' Barisic. He gets the cross away, but wasn't a very good delivery, and it's easily cleared by Dejan Lovren. And now Croatia look to lead a counter-attack with Inter Milan's Mateo Brozovic. Brozovic to Kovacic. Kovacic plays it off towards the substitute, who's shot deep there. Pasalic, and Pasalic finds Luka Modric driving forward with the ball. The midfield maestro of Croatia look for a long ball. He sees the run of Barisic, but Ito's there to get. I think Ito's trying to nod it back actually to his goalkeeper Gonda, but got it quite wrong and put it behind for a corner. So opportunity here for Croatia to put the ball into the box.
Yeah, they you know, they've got some good guys in the air. You know, now they've got a 6'3" striker. Perisic's shown he's no slouch in the air with his headed goal. Like I said, the best header in the tournament by a mile. I don't think we've seen many headers. Anyway, I think Guardiola and Lovren will, you know, be in the mix as well. So a real opportunity here. Maybe the Croatian fans sensing something as Modric goes across. Certainly would break Japanese hearts, wouldn't it? A goal now, but they've just got off the ball slightly, I think, the Blue Samurai.
It's going to be the magical foot of Luka Modric, but it's one from the training ground there. He's just tried to drill it across the floor towards Perisic, but no one else was on the same wavelength as the two experienced heads there for Croatia. And Japan have almost caught Croatia here cold, and they have. And Japan, can they lead a counter-attack? They can't. And I think the referee's putting it back for a Croatia free kick, which the referee's having absolutely none of the back chat, is he there? He's to see that stare he gave to Takumi Asano as he looked to back chat him. I think this referee's a very good referee, Ismail.
I think he is, but I think he made a mistake there as well. I think Lovren was challenging from behind, a desperate challenge. He's dead lucky that he got a free kick there.
He takes very good control of the game. He reffed the Brazil-Cameroon game, actually, and I remember he was the man that sent off Vincent Abubakar after he took his shirt off for the second yellow card. He actually shook his hand before doing it. So
yeah, it was funny.
It was a funny moment, that, as a ball's into the box there towards the head of the substitute Pasalic, but couldn't quite direct it. Goal was in behind for a Japanese goal kick, and Japan have defended the balls into the box quite well, I think, which is interesting enough, as Croatia seem to have stuck to that game plan, but it's not really where they're having success. I know they scored, of course, from a header, but other than that, I mean, they've not really had too much success as Japan are ready in a substitute. It's going to be Kamada of Eintracht Frankfurt to come off, and the number 19 of Japan to come on, and I think that is
looking for that
Sakai, who's coming on.
Yeah,
so it's a defensive change for
Sakai. Yeah, he's a right back by trade.
Perhaps
so
you'd see Takiro Tomiyasu going to centre half of Yoshida, or perhaps Tomiyasu go to go left back, where he's played for Arsenal so often and done really well this season, with Sakai right back and Yoshida and Taniguchi centre back, a back four. But is what we're expecting, I think, now to see from Japan. We'll confirm that for you.
Well, he's very.
When we get there, it looks as if Sakai might have actually dropped into the left back role for now, with Tomiyasu right back. But
he's very experienced. You know, it'll be a 74th cap. He's 6'1" as well. I think they're just a little bit worried that they're getting overloaded now. you know, the players who come on, Budimir 6-3 and Pasalic 6-2, and Pasalic was the one who won that last header in the box from the last Croatia free kick. So they'll be just a little bit worried they're getting overmatched for height. And I think that's the reason that they brought Sakai on.
Or a defensive-minded change for the Samurai Blue.
But I think you've got to think long and hard about your tactics. You know, after a while, when you know teams throw 4 or 5 substitutes on, you forget sometimes the basics. Well, hang on, you can make 4 or 5 changes, and all of a sudden you've got a small team. Well, how did that happen? Oh, we actually took off some of the bigger lads. You've just got to be careful that you square your circle and you know you get all your sums right, because it'd be wrong now, particularly when teams are going to throw a little ball, you know, more long ball at it, you know, more desperation at this point. You know, you still need the big guys in there.
Japan done well there to win possession of the ball back and then force a free kick, and here's Taniguchi for Japan to Morita. He's had a good game in there, but as I say, that gives the ball away really poorly. Curses the commentator, and Mateo Kovacic will pick the ball up for Croatia. Modric looks to drive through the heart of the midfield, but his touch evades him, and now Matoma can bring it out for Japan. He's known the pace and the speed he's got, but it's really good enterprise in there from Mateo Kovacic. He's such a workhorse in that midfield, and he wins that ball so well, doesn't he? He's done it again there to dispossess Matoma, that's a very difficult, tricky customer to dispossess, especially when he's at full speed, and he's got the ball here, the brighter man, to take the throw-in for Japan. Just look at the possession stats, and
yeah, again 50%, you know, for Croatia, and the rest either disputed or what have you. But anyway, we'll break off here. Perisic's giving the ball an opportunity for Croatia.
Yeah, Yoshida gives the ball away really poorly to Ivan Perisic, and it was a fantastic early effort. He took it really soon, didn't he? He's trying to say it took a deflection off the central defender, and I'm not quite sure whether the referee's agreed with him or not. I think he has given a corner. It was Yoshida's real poor sort of, he's trying to pass it across the goal towards Tomiyasu, but he didn't even look to see where Perisic was. Perisic just picked the ball up. Tomiyasu's backing off, and then in the end, Tomiyasu does really well to get the slightest deflection of his boot on the ball, because if not, I think that's travelling into the far top left corner. Yeah. So in the end, it has gone by for a corner. Brilliant defending from Takira Tomiyasu.
Yeah, he did brilliantly there, because I, like you, thought that that was a great shot from Perisic, destined for the back of the net. You know, he really put his laces through that, but it's a corner now, and Croatia coming on strong.
Modric's ball in, good one towards the front post, and Perisic, and it's gone all the way to the Palisic, to the back post, and nods it back across goal. Oh. And then it's an absolutely brilliant interception from Doan. It was doing his defensive duties, and the Japanese players are getting around him, because I tell you what, you see Barisic coming in there, he's about 10 yards out, just lash home with his left foot, but what a touch on the ball that Dohan's got. This will be a better angle of it. Palisic nods it back across goal. Doan and Barisic, he's actually behind Barisic, behind Barisic as he starts, and then Doan just gets the toe just to knock it away from him. Brilliant defending, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just incredible. I just think Barisic there thinks, where's the ball gone? And he thinks it's a magic trick. The ball was there, now it's gone. He had no right to get that ball, Doan. It's just fantastic there, and it just shows his commitment and desire to get there. And he's definitely saved a goal there. You know, Barisic's in the box. He's 5 yards out. Ball's coming to him nicely. He's going to thump it into the back of the net. Believe me, he is. You know, and that is just sensational stuff from Don. He's kept his team in it there, because then, you know, at this late stage you go 2-1 down. That's really going to suck the wind out of the sails. But at 1 apiece, hope springs eternal then for the Blue Samurai. They played pretty well today. Croatia have also played pretty well. It's been a really good game to watch, but somebody's going to walk away disappointed out of this. But it won't be for the one to try for Ritsu Doan, who played his part in the first goal, and they definitely saved a goal with that late challenge, taking the ball away from Barisic.
Brozovic too keen to win the ball back there, and Endo will force the free kick. Opportunity for Japan to put the ball into the box. Dangerous position on this right hand flank, excuse me. It's going to be Asano or Dohan to put the ball in. The pair of them have been absolutely brilliant. Asano, since coming on, he's looked alive wide. He's not quite seen too much of the ball, but Dohan, as John mentioned there, had a part to play in the first goal, and has already got 2 goals in Qatar so far. So this time it's Asano's ball in towards the head of Yoshida. It evades him, but Matoma can pick it up on the edge of the box. Looks to thread a ball into Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu tried to put it across goal with his left foot, but I don't think he even looked up there, Tomiyasu. It's just that natural instinct to put the ball across the goal. But if he had looked up, he would have seen that there was no players ahead of him, and he could have actually gone for goal on his weaker left foot there. So a big chance for the Arsenal man. He broke the lines, and Croatia was just caught napping defensively, but Japan will come again. Taniguchi has the ball now for them. Taniguchi, oh, he's looked for a clever ball into the feet of Asano, but in the end it's just evades absolutely everyone. We look at a replay of this Tomiyasu opportunity. It's brought down well from Matoma. Tomiyasu just gets off the back of his man, doesn't he? And then it was Palisic that dangles a leg, but Tomiyasu skips past him. But if he just looks up, he could have gone for goal there, John.
Yeah, I mean, he should have gone for goal as well. I think he didn't realise how much time he's got. You know, he just swings a leg at that, and he's trying to hook it back into the box for like a cutback. If he actually controls that, you know, I think he's got time to control and shoot. Nobody's with him. You know, it's a clever ball to him. There was enough pace on the ball that bought him some time. He didn't use it wisely, though.
Oh, Matoma was in behind there.
Wow.
Asano just couldn't find it. It was a real good interception, though, from Dejan Lovren, who doesn't look on age, a day over 33 at the moment. He's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he? The two experienced heads. I mean, that goal, the goal combination that Croatia scored, over 200 appearances for Croatia between Dejan Lovren and Ivan Perisic, and we've spoken about the experienced heads they've got on their team, and is that going to be enough to see Croatia through the experience of these big knockout games? The game is still in the balance. 81 minutes played. Japan 1, Croatia 1. At the moment, we're heading for extra time and an extra 30 minutes of what has been an enthralling game at the Al Janoub Stadium, but there's still 9 minutes plus stoppage time for a side to grab a late winner and put a dagger in the heart. There's a long ball. It's just too straight and easy for Gondo's really good goalkeeper, though. He's come really far out, right on the edge of his 18-yard box to come and claim it. Really brave and positive goalkeeping, which is what the Japanese defenders will want to see, their goalkeeper coming out and really making a go of it like that.
Yeah, I think so, because, you know, the goal that came in, it was from a ball that was really deep. You know, if Croatia just think they can fling any old ball in there, well, that's what Gonda's there for, and saying, right, you know, you can't do that. You know, so they're going to have to work a bit harder to put ball in from the flank. Like we said, Lovren's ball in for the goal for Perisic. I mean, that you know, it certainly gave me the chills. That it was so good. You know, oftentimes you think you've got to get to the byline, but no, if you get the right ball into the right man, Perisic said it was absolutely world class, and that's what's got them back in this game. It's in the lap of the gods now. I kind of, we didn't mention it first half, because I always think you jinx yourself, but I thought we were probably going to be booked for you know, an extra 30 minutes in this, and I just thought you've got that one thing, the hard work out of Japan, and then the nous out of Croatia, and in a strange sort of way, that's the way that the game has gone. So I don't think anybody would be too surprised about the way the game's gone.
I think it'd be fair to say that this is the most evenly matched of the round of 16 sides, and if you actually look on paper and how the sides have performed over the course of the tournament so far, this is probably the most evenly matched, and I think it wouldn't be an upset for either of these sides to win. If Japan went on to the quarterfinals at the start of the tournament, it would have been an upset, but seeing as they've played throughout the tournament, I don't think anyone really would be surprised if they were to go on and beat Croatia, and likewise with the experience that Croatia have in knockout football, I don't think many people would be surprised if they go on to overcome Japan. But it's really interesting, this game, and really intriguing as Croatia win a free kick here with Luka Modric, and he plays it quickly towards Juranovic. Juranovic finds Palisic, the substitute, and he'll just knock the ball towards Luka Modric of Real Madrid. 5 Champions League trophies he's won. He's got all the experience in big games, Luka Modric, and is that going to be key and fundamental to see his side through to a second successive quarter-final at the World Cup? Of course, they got all the way to the final stage last time out 4 years ago in Russia, but couldn't get past Didier Deschamps' France. Here's Luka Modric again, starting to see more of the ball in the last couple of minutes, which is worrying for Japan. He finds his midfield partner of Chelsea, Mateo Kovacic. Kovacic to Perisic. Perisic with a couple of step overs and looks to just quicken up the pace of the attack, and I think Matoma's put it behind for a corner, or was the final touch off Perisic?
I think he flicked it off Perisic. There was clever defending that. I'm just looking at the FIFA rankings for the two teams. You know, Croatia are currently 12, but they were third, and with all due respect to them, I think because some of the players are getting that little bit older, like Perisic and Modric, who've been really important, you know, they'll sort of be on the drift. Japan in 24, and I think, you know, the only way is up for that team, and I'm sure that their ranking will get a lot better after this tournament.
It will indeed. Of course, this round of 16 stage will help them. Asano looks to get in behind Gvardiol, but again, really strong defending from the 20-year-old. He just looks such an experienced head at the back, doesn't he? I mean, there's no reason why many people voted him in their team of the group stages in this tournament, and why he's so highly rated. He's on a lot of radars of a lot of European clubs. I know he's had a stellar season so far for RB Leipzig, which is why he's paying every single minute for Croatia at the moment, and he's had another brilliant game today, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's quality. When you consider that most centre backs probably getting towards their best at about 28 years of age, then he's got a lot of good stuff to come. You know, I always say this, but in Italy they always look after centre backs and keep them going till they're about 40. So he's got a good long career ahead of him, hasn't he? And he might have another 4 or 5 World Cups the way he plays if he can keep himself fit. But yeah, he's just a class act.
I didn't know whether Ito just kept it in or not then, but referee and his linesman made a decision that the ball has gone behind.
It seems a shame that Ito's playing left hand side when, you know, he's got Barisic on toast a few times. I don't really understand that. You're having a real rare success, a going day against somebody you know you can beat, and then they swap flanks. You know, I don't really understand that.
Matoma's flick on and he finds a Croatia head, and Mateo Kovacic now has picked the ball up and he'll find Ivan Perisic. Can Perisic deliver a left-footed ball in? He can. It's towards the head of Barisic, but again, he's not quite able to direct it goalwards. It was good defending for Taniguchi. He got really tight to Barisic and it was making it really difficult for the Croatian number 15 to get any real contact on the ball. It's not a bad-looking delivery from Ivan Perisic, but between Taniguchi and Mitoma, they just get really tight and make it really difficult for Barisic to really direct this goalwards. Matoma's right on the back of Barisic, isn't he? And then Taniguchi goes up for the header with him.
Again, he's contested, but he wins it fairly comfortably. And again, I just think, you know, they're winning those duels a lot. We saw Budmir, didn't we, with a header wide when he maybe should have done better. We're going to see Ritsu Doan go off now, and he'd been superb as well today. He massively played a part in where his team are. You know, I mean, as well as playing his part in the goal, which was great. Just that effort to take the ball off the toe end there of, I think, Barisic get inside the box. But Minamino comes on now. We all know that he's a very good player.
A player that we all know a lot about from Liverpool and Southampton, of course. And well, he's just scored some important goals for Liverpool over the last few years, hasn't he, in their success. So can he do it again for Japan here as an outsider foot pass from Croatia meets, it's a poor clearance from Konda across the floor, but it meets Mirota for his side, and then I think Japan have won themselves a free kick. Perisic on Endo, and it's just a bit of argy-bargy between the two of them there. I think that's just the heat of the game, really, and he's not very happy, was he, Ivan Perisic, as that free kick was given against him. I think he thinks Endo made a lot out of it, but the referee has said to play on. Is Yoshida to Taniguchi. Taniguchi finds Mitoma. Mitoma just about keeps it in. It wasn't a great pass from Taniguchi. 87.5 minutes played at the Al Janoub Stadium. Japan won, Croatia won. Just seems that the pace of the game has just been taken out of it, and perhaps both teams are settling for extra time, as has been penalised for a foul there. I think that's the substitute, isn't it? Sakai, who's gone up for a header with Barisic, and I think the referee's just saying he's leaning into him and he's going to give or force the free kick for Croatia in deep defensive territory. There's a arm in the back. There's not a lot in that, to be fair, John, is there? But I think the defender's made the most of it. He feels the arm in his back and he'll go over, and 9 times out of 10 he'll win the free kick. Yeah,
I think so. I don't think there was too much wrong from what the Sakai did done, but equally he didn't get much head on it either, did he? So if he came to get it, didn't get it, and then the other man goes down, then you're always likely to give away a free kick. But yeah, Japan just lacking a little bit of you know, the joie de vivre that they played the first hour with. Definitely Croatia finishing stronger here, trying to get more ball into the box for you know, Pasalic, who is supporting Budmir up top now. They've got 2 great big hulking 6-footers to find. They've already scored a headed goal in this game, and I think they fancy there might be one more for them.
Yeah, they will indeed, as the header there, I think it was Budmir that tried to flick it in behind for Perisic, but it's evaded the Tottenham Hotspur man, and out for a Japanese throw in. 89 minutes on the clock, and Croatia, they look the more forward thinking and more assertive at the moment, and they look the more likely to grab a late winner, but they haven't really been able to create anything since they drew level with Japan. It's been a very disciplined Japanese performance, and they look to come forward here on the counter-attack with Mitoma, but again it's that man Gvardiol that meets the tackle, but Luka Modric is coming forward now for Croatia. I think it's laziness there from Palicic in an offside position, isn't he? But the referees waved play on. I think he was offside, but then there's a foul and a yellow card there for Mateo Kovacic for his tackle on Endo, I believe that was, and good work there from the Japanese midfielder. It was Ito, in fact, and Mateo Kovacic sliding in. It's very late from Kovacic.
Well, I
can't have too many complaints, can he?
No, if one doesn't get you, the other one will. Ito it was who was brought down there, and yeah, he's still feeling it. So too Kovacic. The referee making his notes. Hey, I don't know. We'll see how much minutes on the board here. 90 minutes up then. Don't be too many stoppages. I can't imagine there'll be any more than 4 minutes really, but we'll wait and see what the board shows us. Yeah, there is exactly 4 minutes. Not a lot of time then. I think we kind of booked for extra time really.
Yeah, well, Japan haven't had a shot since the 58th minute of this game, John, which kind of shows that since they got paid back, they've not quite been able to do anything in this game.
Well, they took Dyson off, and I just thought, what are you doing that for? He didn't look like he was tiring. I said he was engaging the centre backs, and he was. He was playing really well. You know, equally. You know, I thought maybe they've gone off the boil a little bit, but you know, Ito now again popping up on the right hand side, and needs to do that because he had the beating of Barisic. When you've got an overload like that, or somebody with the ability to beat his opposite number, you stick with it. But then they brought Sakai on, who has to play right back, and then moved Ito to left, and you think, well, hang on, you've just lost one of the ways that you're going to win the game. You know, I think I've been impressed by what Moriyasu had been doing, you know, in the main, but I think he's lost the way a little bit with his substitutions. Yeah,
Kamada coming off as well, and I thought he had a very impressive game as Budamir's tangling there of Yoshida. Yoshida goes down, and Japanese free kick in their own 18-yard box. 91.5 minutes gone, 2.5 minutes left. It's been very flat in the last sort of 15-20 minutes. Both teams seem to have settled for extra time, and no one really wants to take too many risks because they can be costly at this stage of the tournament. But in extra time, someone's going to have to take a couple of risks if they want to win the football match, unless they're going to let it go all the way.
I think Croatia would be really happy to take it to an extra 30 minutes because at the minute Japan look like a busted flush. They've really got to sort themselves out, refine that energy and zeal, and a way to goal as well. You know, without Dyson, they're just lacking that will of the wisp up top at the minute. Somehow need to get there, don't they, with Toma? We haven't seen anything of Minamino just yet. We know he's a quality player, but it's just how these players that have been brought on for Japan are going to blend in together. And so far, it looks like Croatia are finishing the stronger of the two teams.
Luka Modric finds Palicic. Palicic back to Brozovic. Can Croatia muster up one final opportunity? We've seen late goals across the board so far in Qatar over the last fortnight or so. Is there going to be another one in this game here? Not with passing like that. It's a terrible pass from Dejan Lovren. It was actually Gvardiol, his centre-back partner, that's attempted the ball out towards Ivan Perisic and evaded him.
We'll let him off because he's had a pretty good game. So
yeah, he has been one of the star performers on the pitch for Croatia, but a rare mishap there, and then a hoiked clearance from substitute Sakai. Tomiyasu has gone over to the left incidentally a couple of minutes ago. Forgot to mention that on the commentary. Sakai's on the right, Tomiyasu on the left, and here's Minamino, who's taken up the position on the left now. Ito's gone back to the right, as John mentioned earlier. We're having great success when he was there, and Minamino seems to have dropped into a midfield role as Japan now just knocking the ball around at the back with Takiro Tomiyasu of Arsenal. Back towards his goalkeeper, Gonda. Gonda looks to kick long and perhaps get Japan going with one final opportunity. His kick's a really accurate one as well to Mitoma. Mitoma's got one-on-one with Juranovic. Can Mitoma force anything against the Celtic and Croatia fullback? He can't. He's forced all the way back, but Japan will keep the ball, and perhaps they're going to have the final opportunity to win this football match. Mitoma picks the ball up again, looks for an outside of the foot pass. Modric is there even after 93.5 minutes. The veteran midfielder is there to intercept the pass when Takumi Minamino, I should say, was running in behind the last man. Here's Mitoma again, trying to get a ball into the box. It's opened up for Taniguchi, right-footed in, swinging ball, but he ignores that option. Plays across the line to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu to Endo. Tomiyasu again now has the ball. And there's the full-time whistle. And we're going to extra time at the Al Janoub Stadium. An extra 30 minutes to decide who is going to face either Brazil or South Korea in the quarter-finals. Croatia drew themselves level thanks to a fantastic Ivan Perisic header. And after that, it was very much a game of cat and mouse. Neither side wanted to take a risk. That's why we're going for an extra 30 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium. Japan 1, Croatia 1.
Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found a header that was flicked into the box by Yoshida for the tap-in for Maeda. But Croatia fought back. It was a good cross from Dejan Lovren from fairly deep. It seemed fairly innocuous until Ivan Perisic got on the end of it, and well, he headed it further than I can kick it. What a header. Started outside the goal, drifted in, but beat Shuichi Gonda all ends up. Croatia probably finished the 90 minutes a little bit stronger. Japan have made their change, didn't seem to work out, but we'll be back with you shortly for extra time. Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found a header that was flicked into the box by Yoshida for the tap-in for Maeda. But Croatia fought back. It was a good cross from Dejan Lovren from fairly deep. It seemed fairly innocuous until Ivan Perisic got on the end of it, and well, he headed it further than I can kick it. What a header. Started outside the goal, drifted in, but beat Shuichi Gonda all ends up. Croatia probably finished the 90 minutes a little bit stronger. Japan have made their change, didn't seem to work out, but we'll be back with you shortly for extra time. Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found a header that was flicked into the box by Yoshida for the tap-in for Maeda. But Croatia fought back. It was a good cross from Dejan Lovren from fairly deep. It seemed fairly innocuous until Ivan Perisic got on the end of it, and well, he headed it further than I can kick it. What a header. Started outside the goal, drifted in, but beat Shuichi Gonda all ends up. Croatia probably finished the 90 minutes a little bit stronger. Japan have made their change, didn't seem to work out, but we'll be back with you shortly for extra time. Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found a header that was flicked into the box by Yoshida for the tap-in for Maeda. But Croatia fought back. It was a good cross from Dejan Lovren from fairly deep. It seemed fairly innocuous until Ivan Perisic got on the end of it, and well, he headed it further than I can kick it. What a header. Started outside the goal, drifted in, but beat Shuichi Gonda all ends up. Croatia probably finished the 90 minutes a little bit stronger. Japan have made their change, didn't seem to work out, but we'll be back with you shortly for extra time. Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found a header that was flicked into the box by Yoshida for the tap-in for Maeda. But Croatia fought back. It was a good cross from Dejan Lovren from fairly deep. It seemed fairly innocuous until Ivan Perisic got on the end of it, and well, he headed it further than I can kick it. What a header. Started outside the goal, drifted in, but beat Shuichi Gonda all ends up. Croatia probably finished the 90 minutes a little bit stronger. Japan have made their change, didn't seem to work out, but we'll be back with you shortly for extra time. Right, well, we've had 90 minutes at the Al Janoub Stadium, and they can't separate the two teams. Japan 1, Croatia 1. First goal just before half-time came from the Blue Samurai. Dyson made a tapping in after a good short corner routine. Duan put the cross in. Tamaguchi found. Right then, we're back off again. Extra time, first time in this round of 16. We knew that this would be tight, and tight it is. The next half hour may not necessarily sort it out either, and well, you forget, don't you, trapdoor football and penalties, because we haven't seen it. We've seen teams in this round of 16 picking it up and, you know, showing a lot more quality than the opposition. But here, this is a real old arm wrestle, and I don't know. I think I'm joined by Ben Rogers, and Ben, you had a sneaky fancy for Japan, but I think that feeling may be evaporating slightly. At times, I said, well, I fancy Croatia, and then you know, I sort of watched in horror as Japan picked the game up before, certainly in the first half, before half time, deserved the goal that they got. But I think there's been a bit of a change in the game. And for me, it just seemed like Croatia was finishing the stronger in that half. Just we see Japan attack, and Perisic puts the ball out. It will be a corner for Japan. But I feel like they've got more experience. They've been there before, and they know how to measure it better.
Yeah, Croatia looked more likely, didn't they? But then, you know, with Japan, I think they just went a bit flat. I thought they'd be able to keep it up. That's why I fancied them. I thought they'd be able to keep up, and Croatia probably wouldn't be able to contend with the energy levels that Japan have. But they looked a bit flat in the back end of the last 20 minutes. So unless Moriashi's been able to just pump some energy into these players at the end of the normal time here, then Japan, they could be worried. But they've started extra time very well.
Yeah, with the corner, but then a near post header. Tamiguchi's effort goes well wide. He's just trying to get something on that and flick it through the box. It didn't work out. Japan 1, Croatia 1 then. It went to extra time. We've had a couple of minutes of that. As the ball is put down on the floor by Livakovic. And it's nervous stuff for both the two managers. Jimmy Moriyasu will be thinking about how it might work out. You know, dare they dream? And for Zlatko Dalic, I think you're probably supposed to do this well. They're used to success, aren't they? They're used to getting far in tournaments. Why would they not do that now? So only one person's going to be right. You know.
Sorry, I just wonder whether the experience is going to tell in the end. I mean, you look at Croatia's 2018 campaign. All three of their knockout games, bar the final, went to extra time, didn't they? Of course, 2 penalty shootout wins in the round of 16 in the quarterfinals, and then of course they beat England in extra time in the semi-finals. And when you look at Japan's experience, only once have they even gone to extra time in the World Cup, and that was in 2010, and they lost that to Paraguay on penalties 5-4. So it's one where Japan, none of these players on the pitch are used to, you know, this level of intensity and this sort of experience of going this far in a knockout game. And a majority of Croatia's team were part of that 2018 squad that had that success, and they just know how to win knockout football matches, and they know what needs to be done in extra time. So is that going to see them through?
Well, here come Japan and trying to get there, but eventually Barisic gets a boot in the way, and he's able to block it away. A lot of energy again here from Japan, doing pretty well, playing out from the back with Yoshida, and again Tamiguchi, and then out to the flank. Minamino coming to join in. He did come on the field as a sub. Maeda, Doan, Nagatomo, all players who started now off the field. There's Guardiol, who has had a good solid game, gets his header away. Modric flicks it forward. But in the end, the ball breaks off Pasalic, and that will be a throw for Japan. I certainly would fancy Croatia more if he gets the penalties as well. Gonda looks like a good goalkeeper. It wouldn't be in that. It being, I think that they've got more players who I would expect at the back of the net. You know, the Perisics of this world. If he's going to last out through extra time, I'm sure he would be taking one. Pasalic, I think, as well. Modric. I just think these players are more likely penalty takers. As for whatever reason, Kovacic and Perisic having a word with our referee Ismail.
Yeah, I think they're trying to say that the final touch was off Ito and it shouldn't have been a corner, but you couldn't quite see from our camera angles. They're furious with it, so they'll be even more annoyed if they end up conceding from this corner.
The ball comes in, up go their heads, and Tomiyasu there goes down hurt, took one in the ribs seemingly. Don't know, referees singling there, but a couple of players down, so there's going to be a little bit of treatment and a bit of time off the clock. Pasalic goes up for the header,
Ooh.
and it's a clash of heads, isn't it?
It is a clash of heads, but Tommy Ash is holding his midriff, isn't he? Which is strange.
He got a shove as well as a knock on the head, so yeah, it's the big double for him. But definitely, I think Pasalic there was just on his temple as well. Well, we're looking at the goal again, the first goal, and Maeda, delightful goal for him, great team goal. But if you want to see how headers scored, then you look at Perisic, and just a brilliant header from a long way away from the goal, absolute bullet header, but it bouncing in. It started outside the goal frame and drifted in, and nothing that the goalkeeper could do about that. It was just terrific. And we haven't seen many headers this tournament, have we? I can't remember another one, I don't think.
No, I think the majority of the games actually come in the South Korea Ghana game, wasn't there? There was a lot of balls into the box in that game, and there wasn't a lot of headers, but there was a lot of aerial balls into the box. And I remember a couple of headers from in that group as well in the Uruguay games. But other than that, as you mentioned there, we've not really seen a lot of that side of the game. I think that's something that you don't really see a lot across football anymore nowadays. Anyways, a lot of teams are just. When you think of the likes of Manchester City and teams like that, they've got a tall striker like Erling Haaland, but don't really put balls into the box, do they? A lot of the time, it's just trying to sort of walk the ball into the net and play in behind, and I think that's just sort of the route that football's going down. Teams are starting to shy away from just the old-fashioned putting crosses into the box and hoping their strikers can get on the end of it.
Yeah, I think that nowadays the man on the right or the left tend to be somebody. If they're on the right, he's a left footer who cuts in and gets a shot.
Inverted wingers, yeah.
Yeah, so. Sometimes though, I'd like to see a good ball in, and Lovren's ball was a beauty onto the head of Perisic. Obviously, we saw Mitrovic at these World Cups.
Yeah, he scored a brilliant header actually, didn't he, against Switzerland last time out?
Yeah, and I think that they do right to fine in Fulham have decided to play with wingers who are going to play the ball to him this season, and they've done a good deal better than last time he was in the top flight. By looking for him anyway, some work to be done for Japan. Just got to clear their lines with Mitoma, and the ball with Yoshida put under pressure, and then Modric with a late one, and referee's given a free kick, and that is all. But there's going to be a bit of treatment very late there. He's lucky he didn't get a yellow card for that, and we're going to see a double change now for Croatia. So they're looking to bring fresh legs on as well.
Yeah, former of West Ham, Nikola Vlasic is one of the players that's coming on, and the other one is Maya. Of course, he's already scored against Canada in the World Cup so far. So it'll just be interesting to see who's going to make way. Perhaps it could be one of the midfield. It looks as if Luka Modric is going to make way, and that's a big call, I think, John. The captain's going to be replaced. I know, of course, he's at the old age of 37 now, but I mean, a player, you want the experienced heads on the pitch, surely, and Mateo Kovacic is the other one. So two of the star players really of Croatia are going to be making way after 8 minutes of extra time. It's Modric and Kovacic off, and Vlasic and Maya coming on.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And that's a big gamble really from Zlatko Dalic. Again, that tells me something about possibly about the guys who are going to take penalties. I would suspect that both Vlasic and Maya would take penalties. Maya has played 14 times for his country, scored 4 goals. Clearly he's got an eye for goal. Vlasic as well, 7 for 44. I mean, there's a lot of energy in industry from those two as well. So don't forget that, fresh legs and all that. And Modric has run a marathon, hasn't he? But still a little bit surprised at that, really.
Kovacic I can understand to a point, because you just need fresh legs in midfield, don't you? And I actually suspected it was going to be Brozovic. I was going to say Brozovic, and I'm glad I didn't do that now, John, because I would look very silly, because he was the only one of the 3 that actually stayed on. But
again, it might be down to the penalty kick competition that they think might be on its way.
I'm not sure about you, John, but do you want to be thinking about penalties yet? I mean, you're not even in the second half of extra time yet. I don't think you want to be.
But I think Japan looked just that little bit flat enough, maybe for Dalic to think, right, fresh legs never a bad thing. Look, I'm bringing on footballers. I'm not bringing on somebody who never kicked a ball before. So however weak we think they are, and Domagoj Vida has got an arm round his 2 fellow players there and gives them a big hug. I like that. But they're not bringing rubbish on, are they? They're bringing on good professional footballers who will add something different. maybe Modric had run his race today, but I would have kept him out there. Perisic's still out there, and that's again pointing to probably the likely fact that he takes a penalty.
You'd expect even Perisic to be taking a penalty. He's also got the captain's armband around his arm now. You'd definitely expect him to be taking a penalty. And when I look, Brozovic as well, Budimir, maybe Pasalic. I mean,
I'm not sure about Budimir. I think unless you want him to head the penalty, and I'm not.
I think when you're a striker, you just have confidence you can hit the back of the net, don't you? I think
maybe. I've seen Lewandowski's penalties this tournament, not great. Anyway, a shot comes in from the edge of the area from Barisic, that's blocked away, but it will be Croatia throwing parallel with the edge of the area, left-hand side, more or less. So Japan won, Croatia won. We're 11 minutes into added time, already talking about penalties, because I think the game has died a little bit in terms of chances and quality.
Yeah, sorry, John, but the rhythm and the pace of the game seems to have just been taken out of it completely.
Yeah.
Opening sort of 45 minutes, it was played at a real high sort of intensity, real high pace, high octane as Japan always is. But you mentioned it towards the back end of the game, Croatia were just completely on top, and Japan just look a bit laboured, don't they? That's what I think. That's the best way to describe them. They just don't really seem too keen now to win the ball back and really go for it. I think they've probably settled for penalties already, and we're still 20 minutes of play away from that. And if there is a team that looks like, they don't want to put the mockers on it, but it looks as if Croatia look the more likely to nab a goal that's going to win this game. But at the moment, it looks like we're destined for penalties.
Yeah, I think to some degree it looks like Japan have blown themselves out. It's all that excitement, all that pressure and energy early. It seems to take the toll. And then the players who've come on, I seem to remember Minamino, being a high energy, brilliant player, but we haven't seen anything since he's come on. Mitoma as well, and Asano's the other one. I just expecting more of them, and they're not as good as the players that they've replaced. And they brought in Hiroki Saka, and I don't understand why at all. But anyway, I think that Jimmy Moriyasu has made them palpably a little bit worse. And for Croatia, they just seem to now be in a passage of play where they just want to hold on to it and take it to penalties. It honestly seems like that to me. It does,
and I'm inclined to agree with John. It's also worth mentioning that might be the last time we ever see Luka Modric in an international shirt, and the last time we ever see him at a World Cup, of course, if Croatia are not to progress. So, interesting one. I really would have fancied him to take a penalty. I know if his legs have gone, you can't really do much about that, especially with 20 minutes to play. There was a loose header there from Japan, almost. Perisic got in behind, and Mitoma didn't really look there, did he, where he was playing it back? And Japan do not want to be making mistakes like that at this stage of a game, because it will prove costly, and especially when they've dug so deep for over 102 minutes of play now. But we've got a couple of minutes till the break in this extra time period, and Croatia have dominated the possession for the 13 minutes we've had of extra time, and Japan, they do look laboured just as they did towards the back end of the game, and I'm sure Moriyasu and his players will take penalty kicks right now.
There just had a chance to cross the ball, and he went back on his inside, keep ball. I mean, that indicates to me there's no great ambition. Barisic now puts the ball in there. Our body's in the box, an opportunity, but that one's headed away by Taniguchi's done really well there. It almost seems like that, now Croatia also are sort of frightened to go for it, frightened that Japan might catch them on the counter attack. They don't want their hearts broken at this point, and it seems like they've almost settled for penalty. Long ball to Barisic, just rolled ahead of him, and he's not going to get on the end of that, not at this stage. Anyway, Tomiyasu chips the ball out, but Croatia are seemingly winning every 50-50 at the minute. Here they go again. Brozovic trying to thread the eye of a needle. It's a lazy pass from him. And now the counter-attack is on. A real opportunity then. Can they get Asano into the game? He makes a break and it all opens up and the shot comes in. Oh, it's straight down the middle. Saved by the goalkeeper. Another shot from the edge of the box. That's blocked away. Wowee. Another opportunity then for Sakai. Puts a decent looking ball in. Headed away by Guardiol. Japan have come alive all at once. There are a couple of half chances as the ball rolls out, and I think that might be a corner kick. Out of nothing, a little break, and really a good opportunity there
brilliant from Japan. It's Matoma, isn't it? He's driving 55 yards with that ball, and then he cuts inside onto his right foot. Croatia's backliner at 6s and 7s. They can't contend with this pace that he's just injecting into the game, and he strikes it really well. There's a lot of movement on the ball. Lakovic just palms it up in the air, and then Japan are trying to get a couple of shots away on the rebounds, but Croatia stand tall and get blocks away, but it's only forcing a Japanese corner, and Japan have ended this extra time period just as they started it.
Yeah, Ito then with the corner up. Go the heads. It's not been defended particularly well. Ball bounces through the box. Japan still have it. A chance for Ito to put the ball back in. He just lays it back. Now Minamino with the ball to the edge of the area. It's not really been dealt with that well. The ball up in the air. Goalkeeper's got to come, claim it, and he does. Wow, 2 minutes of added time in this period then, and we're into that already. Croatia leading the charmed life there. They might have settled for penalties, but Japan have not. As we look at Mitoma's strike, loads of action on that ball, and in the end it was a pretty good save from Livakovic, because he really caught hold of it, and that ball was moving a lot in the air.
It was indeed, as Japan have finally injected a bit of pace into the game for the first time from them in a while. It's the first shot they've attempted in over an hour now almost, and it's been a real struggle for them to just get a foothold on the game and actually create problems going forward, but they've stuck to their task defensively quite well. Croatia have had very little in the way of clear-cut opportunities. About a minute left of the first half of extra time, and Croatia have finally put a ball into the box here of Brozovic, but it wasn't a very good one, and Japan just setting up to play on the counter-attack at the moment, and we know that with what they've done against Germany and Spain on the counter-attack, so I just wonder whether Japan might be able to nick another late chance here and perhaps nick this game in the second half of extra time.
Yeah, you never know. I tell you what set the ball rolling there, or what didn't. Maya got on the ball, right, and I just thought he had a chance. He had a loaded box, and he went back, and that sends a signal out. That's like, Dalic then probably thinks we should play keep ball and get to penalties. It's like sending a message out. He just didn't have the courage of his convictions there, Maya, and because of that, they all ended up going backwards. And and Japan watching that just thinking, really? Do they think they're just going to hold us at arm's length, for the rest of the game? Anyway, Croatia back on the ball now, trying to do something with Perisic, but the referee has seen enough of this half of extra time. Nothing being sorted just yet. It's still one apiece. Nothing extra in the first 15 minutes, +2. And it's going to be Ben taking us through the next, but we'll take a short break ahead of that. I'm sure they'll be back out pretty quickly. But it's still honours even then at the Al Janoub. So we've reached the point, we're halfway through added time at the Al Janoub. After 90 minutes they couldn't separate the teams at one apiece. Japan had the best effort of the first 15 minutes of extra time with Mitoma's right-footed shot just about saved by Dominik Livakovic. The short break now. They'll be back on the field pretty shortly once they've sorted their tactics out. We'll be back on it with coverage of this really exciting game, this round of 16. So we've reached the point, we're halfway through added time at the Al Janoub. After 90 minutes they couldn't separate the teams at one apiece. Japan had the best effort of the first 15 minutes of extra time with Mitoma's right-footed shot just about saved by Dominik Livakovic. The short break now. They'll be back on the field pretty shortly once they've sorted their tactics out. We'll be back on it with coverage of this really exciting game, this round of 16. So we've reached the point, we're halfway through added time at the Al Janoub. After 90 minutes they couldn't separate the teams at one apiece. Japan had the best effort of the first 15 minutes of extra time with Mitoma's right-footed shot just about saved by Dominik Livakovic. The short break now. They'll be back on the field pretty shortly once they've sorted their tactics out. We'll be back on it with coverage of this really exciting game, this round of 16. So we've reached the point, we're halfway through added time at the Al Janoub. After 90 minutes they couldn't separate the teams at one apiece. Japan had the best effort of the first 15 minutes of extra time with Mitoma's right-footed shot just about saved by Dominik Livakovic. The short break now. They'll be back on the field pretty shortly once they've sorted their tactics out. We'll be back on it with the coverage of this really exciting game, this round of 16. So we've reached the point where halfway.
And we're back underway for the second half of extra time, and there's a few changes to notify you about. Budimir, the substitutes come off. Of course, John actually mentioned that he didn't fancy him to take a penalty, and obviously that's proved true because Orsic has come off for him, and Ivan Perisic has come off as well, and that was probably one of the most likely penalty takers on the pitch, but he's come off, and Navaja's come on in his place. One substitute for Japan, Morita, the central midfielder, has been quiet in the last half hour or so of this game, and he's made way for Tanaka, so that's probably a penalty shootout change as well, as Tanaka has a good record from the spot. So a few changes there at the break for either side. 15 minutes to go. Do you think we're going to get a late winner, John, or do you think we're going to be destined for a penalty shootout now?
I think it's penalties all the way, but I can think that Croatia can think they've settled for penalties with all the changes that they've made, but we saw Japan just the end of that first period of added time, didn't give up, did they? Mitoma, right foot shot, nearly sealed the deal. There might be one big chance for both these two teams, so you never know. But in the meanwhile, they're making those preparations for a penalty shootout, and clearly the substitutions, the ones that have been brought for Croatia, I suspect Livaya and Orsic are both going to take penalties.
Orsic, of course, is a name that a lot of English football fans will be familiar with because of his Champions League exploits. He scored, of course, that famous goal against Tottenham to beat them last season, as Ito wins the ball really well here for Japan, and he's not got a lot of bodies ahead of him though. The Japanese players just look really laboured. They did in the first half extra time, they did at the back end of normal time as well, and it's been a hard campaign for them, and with the style of football they play, the enterprise they play with, it's really hard to maintain that level of high octane intensity for so long, and they've not been able to quite keep up to that level today. As a long ball forward there from Gonda.
I mean, I think that the other thing is that this tournament's condensed, isn't it? Games come thick and fast, and for a team who are hard pressing, high energy team, playing every 3 days, it's like too hard to do. I think, and then the tendency is to have a flat performance, and then that'd be the end of it. They've been far from flat today, but they've hit flat spots, haven't they, where they've looked a little bit tired, and we kind of expect more. We think, we both kind of thought that they'd just keep on going. I always thought that Croatia would have too much savvy for them, but there's not much in it, and if it does go a penalty shootout, there's no guarantee that sees Croatia through either. So I think it's a bit of a risk, but Croatia have been there before. They've got bags of experience. I think the assumption would be that they'd probably just edge it penalty-wise, but you never know.
Very much a lottery, isn't it? The penalty shootout, as Matoma does really well down his left-hand flank to keep the ball in play and try and make some important yards for Japan. Endo finds the ball back to his captain, Mao Yoshida, 34 years of age, and he's played a lot of minutes so far. Is he going to play the whole 120? It looks like it, and it does not look a day over 25, Mao Yoshida. He's been very good at the heart of that back three for Japan today, and been really impressed with the Japanese back line. They've stuck to their task well. It's a very tricky Croatia attack, isn't it? But they've stuck to their task well, and the only goal they conceded was a fabulous header from Ivan Perisic. Can Japan muster up an opportunity here? Matoma's got the ball. He looks to curl it in with his right foot. Again, it's good defending from Gvardiol, but Japan have picked up the second ball, and is that going to reach touch? It is. It was a poor pass actually from the substitute Tanaka. He had Sakai and acres of space on that right hand flank, but just avoided him, doesn't it? Just looking at Takumi Minamino's penalty shootout record, his last 5 have not gone that well. These penalties, the placement of them as well, all 5 of them gone down the middle. 2 of them he's missed, 3 of them he's scored, so it's only a 60% ratio, isn't it, from the penalty spot?
I mean, it's hard to do all that much homework. You've got massive squads, haven't you? But yeah, if you Livakovic should be thinking Minamino takes a penalty, I'm going to stand right in the middle of the goal, and if he gives me the old swivel hips and that, I'll just stick to the spot. I've seen penalties missed in the tournament from players you expect at the back of the net. I mentioned Lewandowski. He had 2 penalties saved, and one, of course, was retaken and scored. But it just shows the amount of pressure even good goal scorers find, stepping up to the spot. We're going to see a lot of those players who walk up waiting or desperate for the goalkeeper to make a move first. Goalkeepers are getting a bit more wise to that kind of penalty, the Jorginho penalty, the Ivan Toney sort of penalty, where you walk up and give him the eyes and want him to jump out the way. So I think we'll see a lot of goalkeepers standing stock still, particularly when it's a slow run-up. I'm looking for. I hope it goes to penalties because I quite enjoyed that. I think we've gone that far now. It'd almost be a shame for somebody to win it.
10 minutes till we reach that dreaded penalty shootout. Matoma, again a poor pass. He looks full of energy, the Brighton man, but he's not quite got the ability to match it, has he? But Japan look to provide a little bit of a higher press here, but Juranovic can clear it well, only as far as the head of Taniguchi, and then hoiked forward by Gvardiol. There's a bit of pinball at the moment. The game's gone really scrappy, but that's just how leggy the players feel. But here comes Maya, who's running in behind Taniguchi. Can he get a ball into the box? He's got Orsic in there. He's got Vlasic in there. It fades both of them, though. It's headed away by Tomiyasu, and then nipped in well there. Did Ito, but I think he's put it out for a corner, is he? The players seem pretty confused there. I think it is a corner.
I didn't think so. Yeah, he's giving it, but I thought it came with the 14 Levaya. So I think Croatia are dead lucky with this, but maybe I'm wrong. Seems all the Japanese players thought the same thing, but corner kick's being given.
Only one of the Croatian players on the field instantly took a penalty in 2018 in their penalty shootout, and that was Marcelo Brozovic, and of course he scored that penalty, so he knows how to score a penalty for Croatia in these tough circumstances at a World Cup. Gonda punched away that corner instantly really well out for a throw.
We saw in the Euros, didn't we, how difficult it is. I mentioned Jorginho was a master at that. When he stepped up to take his for Italy, I said, well, this is in. And, of course, he was one of the few who failed. So, you know, it's always a tricky thing, even for those who do it regularly and usually successful. There's so much more pressure on you, you know, and, of course, the aftermath of it doesn't bear thinking about.
Brozovic's early cross wasn't a bad shape on the ball, but there's no one there really gambling at the back post for Croatia. They're not really throwing bodies into the box anymore. The team in red and white today, they're just not quite sure how many risks to take, what risks are worthy to take, because at this stage of the game any risk could prove costly. It could also mean that you win the game, but it's getting that balance right, isn't it? And at the moment Zlato Dalic just doesn't want to be taking any unnecessary risks, and he knows that his side have been there and done it 4 years ago.
Look at Juranovic, look at the time wasting he's taking there with the ball. I don't want this ball, I want that ball, give me another ball, drive this ball. He's taking about a minute to take this throw, and it just tells you its own thing. I've got the ball while I've got it, and while we've got a throw, we're all right, we're safe.
See the likes of Perisic and Modric standing up and barking orders from the sideline. Cristiano Ronaldo, but there's a bit of pinball in the Japan box here, and then I think Gonda's given him a late shout there to his fullback, but it's worked out well because then Gonda can get his team going quickly. Ito couldn't quite bring the ball down, and it's played back towards Livakovic in the Croatia goal, and then he hoiks long, but it's only met the head of Tomiyasu. Good neat turn there from Endo, but it was the substitute, wasn't it, Tanaka, but he was put to the floor, and then the referee said there was no foul doing, and Brozovic will keep the ball for Croatia. Brozovic still on the ball here in the Inter Milan midfield. He finds into the path of Orsic, whose touch was awful, but Japan didn't really get the ball, get their lines cleared, and Brozovic will regain possession of the ball. He'll find Orsic off to Barisic, who puts the ball into the box, left-footed ball, but it's only going to find Matoma, who's going to let it run for a throw, and he's in. I think there, brilliant bit of work from Juranovic, because he played it off Matoma. Just dived in, didn't he? Just got a little toe in to play it off Matoma and win the throw in. And we know Juranovic has got a big long throw. He's going to try and get into the box. Can Croatia win the first ball and try and cause some problems and some panic in the Japan defensive area? Juranovic's long throw, dangerous position this, dangerous times for Japanese football fans. It's flicked on, but into the arms of Gonda, who again has done well when there's an aerial ball into the box, and Gonda again looks to kick long. Can Asano bring it down? He can, and he's on the end of his Asano. He's holds Gvardiol up, he's got his back to play, just trying to win anything for Japan. He does really well there, Takumi Asano, to get Japan some well-needed possession. 6 minutes to go until penalty shootouts at the Al Janoub Stadium. Japan 1, Croatia 1. Japan took the lead before half-time, courtesy of Celtic's Maeda, and then Tottenham Hotspur's Perisic, 10 minutes after the break, meant that we headed for this extra time, and since then there's not really been too many clear-cut chances. But we might have one here if Endo can find the right pass. He finds Sakai, and Sakai's ball in was a real poor one. Had time to take a touch there, but Tomiyasu will nip in ahead of Orsic and mean Japan regain possession. It's Matoma now on the left-hand side. He's one-on-one with Juranovic. Juranovic done a lot of running. Perhaps Matoma fancies himself against him, but instead he just plays inside towards the substitute Tanaka. Tanaka to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu into the feet of Asano. And then Endo with a neat little turn, and then looks for an enterprising ball into the box. It wasn't a bad one either. Matoma looks to nod it back across goal, but straight into the arms of Livakovic again. Both goalkeepers have dealt well with balls into the box, and they're keen to come off their line. They're doing it well at the moment, so it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in. Is any team going to take any risks at this stage of the game with less than 5 minutes until a penalty shootout, or are we settled now, strapped in for a shootout from 12 yards to decide who's going to face Brazil or South Korea in the quarter-finals of the World Cup on Friday? Endo does well to win the ball back there, and then Asano does it. I think Asano's been brought down by Barisic, who's trying to claim that he's injured, but that's just trying to con the referee. I'm sure he's going to get a yellow card, and the Rangers man is no stranger to a yellow card, is he?
No, he just chopped him down there, didn't he? And that's what you expect. The referee's been pretty good so far, and he's not missed out one. I won't mind this fella for the final. I like him, Ismail El Faf. I like any official who seems to have a sense of humour about himself. It's not all life and death and all that. I think if you've got a sense of humour with the players and they understand that, you know, it goes a long way. He seems to communicate with the players pretty well, and they seem to respect him. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind this fella for the final. Of course, he's from the United States, so he's no vested interest anymore. Anyway, we've got 4 minutes left, and this game could still go either way. It's been a good game. I think extra time has just left a little bit to be desired. I think there's a bit of panic and desperation about it all now, and I think both teams are just frightened of losing rather than wanting to go and win it at this stage, and I think we're booked for penalties.
I'm inclined to agree with you there, John. I think in fairness to both sides, when do you ever see an extra time that's full of excitement and full of drama? It's a very rare thing to come by, isn't it?
It's only when somebody nicks a goal early, doesn't it, and then all hell breaks loose. But yeah, if you don't get that, then
a lot of the time you're set for this sort of laboured 30 minutes of just where teams are just trying to set up and not lose the game rather than try and win it, because when you fought so well for 90 minutes, you don't want to be taking risks and losing the game in unfortunate circumstances, and that's why Japan have found all 11 players behind the ball at the moment. Maya to Gavadio, who's had an excellent game again at the heart of the back line for Croatia, and he try and find a left-footed ball in towards the head of Orsic. The ball will come out to Juranovic. Juranovic finds Maya. Maya to Brozovic. Brozovic thought about an early right-footed ball in, just similar to what Dejan Lovren done for the Perisic goal, but he fought against it. Juranovic now has the ball on the right-hand flank. He'll find Maya. Maya is tackled well by Matoma. And then Japan will try and lead a counter-attack with Asano. Asano's been beaten to the ball by Gavadio again, who's in the wars, and 3 or 4 times now that he's been in the wars. The big, strong centre-back, and there's a long ball hoiked into the box by Croatia, dealt easily with by Japan, and then put out for a throw-in by Takilo Tomiyasu, approaching the 28th minute of extra time, so 2 minutes to go until penalty shootouts, and it looks as if we're heading for that, and I can't see any other outcome. But now I've said that, it only takes 1 second to score a goal, and you never know what will happen in this game. Of course, even Perisic scored a goal out of nowhere, and here's Nikola Vlasic of West Ham. It's a ball into the box towards the head of Maya. He threw himself at it, but Maya Yoshida was there ahead of him, and then it's hooked away by Asano, only as far as Dejan Lovren. Croatia look the more likely. Japan backs against the wall, 11 bodies behind the ball, trying to force penalty shootouts. Here's Juranovic, who's got a lot of time, a lot of space to put a ball into the box. It's not a very good one though, but it's kept alive by Orsic. Nikola Vlasic has the ball for Croatia. He'll find Barisic of Rangers. Barisic's ball blocked well by Tanaka, and it's hit the head of Tanaka, and then he goes to the floor. I'm not quite sure whether it's hit him on the point of the forehead or if he's just trying to con the referee. It is a sore one, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think he just wants to tick precious minutes away, John.
Yeah, I'm sure he does there. So Ayo Tanaka goes down. Let's take a look. Kind of blow on his ear, up to his temple. I'm sure that will hurt, but
yeah, it can be a sore one. To be fair, I don't want to take too much away from.
But I'm sure he's all right. He'll live anyway. Yeah, Croatia have been slightly stronger, haven't they, in this period? Whenever Japan do get the ball though and have one of those lightning breaks, they always look more likely. But there's been a more concerted build-up from Croatia, who've had more the ball in this extra time period. I think out of the two, they had finished the stronger in the 90 minutes and in this extra time period as well. Very much it's a case of the Blue Samurai hanging on to what they've got really. As again, Barisic trying to get around the back. puts the ball across the face, but nobody's going to get on the end of that.
Matoma brings down that ball and he'll try and clear it. Can he keep the ball in play? He can, and he clears it. So as long as Asano tried to get there ahead of Lovren, he would have had a one-on-one foot race, which he would have fancied himself, but Dejan Lovren does really well. The fourth official has held up 1 minute of additional time. There's 1 minute left of this game of football before we head for penalty shootouts. Here is Orsic, cuts inside his man, right-footed shot, blocked well by Tomiyasu, and now Japan look for a counter-attack, but Asano's pass is just behind Ito. Tired legs there. Maya's right-footed shot, and that's probably the last chance of the game. It's a big opportunity as well. 22 yards from goal. Maya has already scored at the World Cup, of course, against Canada, and that was in stoppage time as well. And it just opened up for him, didn't it, on the edge of the box here, and just on the edge of the D, right-footed shot. He had a bit of time and a bit of space. He was looking for that corner, but Gonda, not quite sure he had it covered, but he's fired wide.
I think he snatched it there. I think he had more time. You know, he's got somebody blocking there. I think it was Yoshida, and he dragged it wide of him. He's dragged it wide of the goal. But I felt he all opened out, and he had a lot of time on that. He had more time than he thought. And I think if he just takes that extra second, lets Yoshida slide out the way, the goal opens up for him. So that's desperately disappointing for Maya. And that looks like that's it. So we'll be back shortly with the penalties, and you know, I think it is exciting. One of the teams will be going home, one will be going forward, but we don't know who that is just yet. We'll be back shortly. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perishik on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've reached that point. We've had 30 minutes of added time. They still can't separate the two teams. After extra time, it's Japan 1, Croatia 1. Maidon 43, Perisic on 55. It's the penalty shootout coming up, and we'll be back with that real soon. So we've right, we're about ready for penalties. Are you? The two goalkeepers there have a bit of a hug. Best of luck, mate. You two. Both of them like peas in a pod, aren't they? Two goalies, both 6'2". You know, both would fancy their chances. The only person who can get away with it is the goalkeeper. You don't blame him if he's beaten, but he manages to say when he's a hero. Anyway, the first one is a Japanese penalty, and that will be Ben doing those. I'll do the Croatian ones, and it's Minamino, I think, the first, the number 10. So first up then, a Japanese penalty.
Ex-Liverpool man Takumi Minamino scored 3 of his last 5 penalties, but he has missed 2, and one of the occasions, of course, didn't even hit the target, hit the crossbar. So
we were saying if you stand straight down the middle, that's where most of his penalties go if you're the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's not a player that's had great success. He's missed 2 of his last 3 as well. So Takumi Minamino, I don't want to put the writing on the wall for him, but he's not got the most confidence from 12 yards. But
does he look nervous though as he steps up here?
He looks confident. He's always a player who looks full of confidence, isn't he, Takumi Minamino? But it's him versus Livakovic. Minamino, little stutter in his run up, and it is saved by Livakovic, and he's now missed 3 of his last 4. Didn't want to put the writing on the wall for him, but with a penalty shootout record like that, it was never going to go too well for him. Livakovic just read it like a book, dives to his right. It's a poor penalty from Minamino. It almost goes under Livakovic because Livakovic is actually trying to dive to his right hand side, but Minamino's just no conviction on the penalty, no power, no precision, poor penalty, and it's already one up for Croatia, and the opportunity now to take the lead.
It is, and up steps the number 13, Nikola Vlasic, and I don't know what his penalty routine is like. He looks nervous though. Up he steps and he thumps it home. Really good penalty that. I mean, Gonda guessed the right way, dived to his right hand side. Too much power, you know. He's not going to mess about and do a stagger step. He's just going to thump it in. I like that.
Yeah, it was a good penalty, wasn't it? And now Japan are going to have to come from behind. They've done it in normal time against Germany and Spain, but they now need to do it in the penalty shootout, and they need their goalkeeper to produce. But first they need to score their penalties. It's Matoma of Brighton against Livakovic. Matoma of Brighton is saved again! This time it's a brilliant save though from Livakovic. Matoma goes the opposite side, looks for the left bottom corner, and it's a dive to his right from Livakovic. A real strong hand. Wasn't a lot of power on the penalty from Matoma, but it's a real good hand because it is almost right in the corner. We see here he gets a great spring and a fabulous hand from the Croatian number 1. Japan have taken 2, Japan have missed 2.
Yeah, not the best start, hey. Anyway, one of the reasons why Marcelo Brozovic was left on the field was because he was going to take one, and up he steps. Again, he looks sick, to be honest with you, but anyway, he's just going to have to keep it in as he thumps it straight down the middle. Goalkeeper dives out of the way. That's a really confident penalty from him. He didn't look confident stepping up to it, but thumped it down the middle, and this time it's worked out for him. Yeah,
Japan now are already in desperate, dying embers, aren't they? They've missed their first 2. If they miss this and Croatia score, Croatia are through, and it's simple as that really. It's Takumi Asano to take this penalty for Japan, and it is now or never for Japan. They have to score this penalty. Takumi Asano, formerly of Arsenal Academy, right-footed penalty. He takes about 4 long steps backwards, so interesting run-up. A little jutter in the run-up, and he converts. A good penalty from Asano, but his side still trailed by 2 penalty kicks, and a goal here for Croatia, and Japan will really be up against the cosh. But
yeah, they need a save, don't they? They need something, a miss or what have you. They need something to give them that belief back. That was a good penalty, wasn't it? Under pressure from Asano. Hit his shot well. Good to see who's next up for Croatia. Would have been nice to see his number there, wouldn't it? Livia it is, who puts the ball down. Again, a study of concentration. He's only got to 2 steps. And then he hits it off the post. Way too cocky there. You know, he wanted the goalkeeper to dive out the way. I don't think he sorted himself out at all. Got to take that. So casual. 2-3 steps back. Really laissez-faire.
It's one of the strangest penalties I've ever seen, John. I mean, he didn't even step back, did he? He's right on top of the ball and then just takes one step and strikes it. But there's no power on the ball or anything. He's just chipped an effort onto the post. A real terrible penalty, and it's given Japan a lifetime in this game. And now it's their captain that steps up, Maya Yoshida, 34 years old. I've not really seen him take too many penalties. I don't know how well he's going to convert this. Is he? If he's going to convert it, he's not. Maya Yoshida, it's always a worry when your captain is taking your fourth penalty, your centre-back's taking your fourth penalty, I should say. It's a great save from Novakovic. He saved his third penalty now of the match, and Croatia have an opportunity to win it, coming right up here. It's a good save from Novakovic. It's a poor penalty from Maya Yoshida, and Croatia are just one kick of the football away from a potential meeting with Brazil or South Korea in the World Cup quarterfinals.
Looks like Mario Pasalic is the man who could put them through. They're ready to celebrate. Can he provide it? Decent run up now. Steps up, thumps it in, and that's it. The Croatian fans up in the air. The Croatian players out to join Pasalic and Livakovic in the middle. Well, what a tight game of football, but what a one-sided penalty shootout that was, Ben.
We were speaking, John, wasn't it? It's always a shame to lose on penalty kicks, but even in that manner, Japan will be really disappointed because they've matched Croatia stride for stride for 120 minutes of football, and then to lose like that on penalty kicks, there were poor penalties as well. The Japanese players, the Croatian players go over and consolidate their man, but in the end it was the experience, wasn't it, of Croatia 2018, 4 years ago. They had two penalty shootouts, they won them both. These Japanese players are in uncharted territories, and in the end it's meant that Croatia will be going through to face Brazil or South Korea on Friday in the next round of the World Cup, John.
Yeah, brilliant. That Croatia eventually finding enough to get through. An incredible game of football, actually. High drama, always drama at penalty, but unfortunately the Blue Samurai are out. Certainly did themselves great credit in the tournament, but just too savvy, just too much nous and quality at the end from Croatia. Saw them through 3-1 on penalties after one apiece after extra time. Thanks for joining us.